Hi, everybody, and welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 22. I am your host, and with me, as always, is my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hello, welcome to the podcast where we never review the main roster ever, especially not Monday Night Raw.
We do not, so you can feel safe in that we will not discuss much of those shows.
Or be very angry at us.
Right. So, it's the first day of our winter holiday break.
Yes.
In a lockdown, in a pandemic state.
Yeah.
So we are
I'm
officially...
disappointed in myself. I slept in today.
You did sleep in today, which is very rare for you.
Yeah, that
Your
sucks.
mother was starting to get somewhat concerned because you
That
are
sucks.
usually
up
very early.
I wasn't even out that late last night, so it's kind of weird.
So yes, we are still in a lockdown in our area, so that
Yes.
means we can't do much, but we did still get our walk. We just had to order our booster juice ahead of time and then walk in and grab it, which actually isn't a bad way to do it.
Yeah, if it wasn't like cold, I feel like we could still be getting like pizza or whatever, but...
Yeah, it's
whatever.
just it'll get cold on the walk back.
Yeah, but we had leftover pasta sauce, so works.
We did. We had leftover pasta and then our booster juice that he's already finished because he just got a small one by accident today, so
yes.
I'm still working on mine. So we like to update people on our holiday movie update. What are we...
Oh, yes. Just watched Jingle All the Way.
Not my favorite, but...
Yeah, Jake Lloyd is a doofus.
Anyways, and tonight is Elf, I think, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So
Oh, and I watched Home Alone again at school.
Of course. So did your brother, I think.
Oh,
he
yeah.
said
My
that.
final day at school was kind of funny. So I had a dentist appointment. So in the morning, I played a bit of Jedi Fallen Order and whooped the Ninth Sister.
Yeah.
And then had my dentist appointment and then ate lunch and watched some shows and whatever. We watched The Mandalorian, which was really cool. Sasha Banks actually did a tornado DDT in that.
She did.
Which was kind of funny.
Was the season finale you were saying, right?
Yes, it was very good.
Good episode, for sure.
And then I came back to school just to watch a movie.
Yeah. Big busy day at school, like that last day of school before the break. Miss half of it and then watch a movie.
Yes.
Amazing. So yes, thank you to everybody that's been checking us out and listening. Some people are coming back every week. We're picking up new listeners. We got one listener in France, I told you, right? So if you're listening and that's you, thanks.
Yes.
So a few in Russia. I think it was 3.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about Russia.
So Russia, France, United States, and Canada are represented listening to our podcast. So that's cool.
Christmas episode is in the works.
It is.
We will reveal the pay-per-view once we have it confirmed, but I'm thinking December to Dismember.
Yeah, he wants to make me watch something really bad.
And I've never actually seen it before. I know it's terrible, and yet I want to do this.
So that might be coming as well. We just are, again, we are kind of stuck at home for the next 2 weeks at least. There's even some...
So we'll have more time, right? So.
There's even discussion of the break being extended so that people aren't back at school. We'll see if they're just going to go with virtual schooling after. I feel like that might be coming for a couple weeks just to keep people at home a couple extra weeks, but we'll figure that out as we go.
And hopefully we'll be able to get in our year-end awards soon, which we are still working on.
I'm thinking around New Year's, maybe New Year's Day or something, release that. But anyways,
will still be on break then, right? So that'll work.
Yep, keep your eye out for that. As always, we would love to hear any feedback, criticism, praise, comments, questions from anyone. There's a couple ways to reach us. One is through email at fnswrestling@gmail.com, and the other is we have an Instagram page that Jack sort of manages, which is FNS_wrestling_podcast.
Yes, and it doesn't work sometimes because sometimes I can't get in, but then I just have to reload the app, and then it works, so...
But apparently he forgot to post our stuff last week on Instagram, so apologies.
Because of my crappy phone.
Yes, so...
But I'm definitely going to remember this week, probably.
Thanks for checking us out, and thanks for coming back if you already have checked us out before, but I think we should probably transition into some actual wrestling talk. What do you think?
We should do that, yeah.
All right, so we'll start out with our first segment, as always, is News and Rumors. And I like to start this segment every week with the ratings.
You do like to do that.
I do like to do that, because it's interesting to me to see how these shows are doing. So this is... Week 62 of the Wednesday Night War, and AEW...
Really? Already?
Yeah, right? Wow. I thought so too. AEW did defeat WWE NXT in viewership and ratings once again, but it was pretty close. It was only a 5.2% margin this week.
Nice. That's always better for WWE. It's just more interesting, I feel like.
So the live episode of Dynamite drew 806,000 viewers, which was down 19% from last week because they had a big week.
Is NXT live too? Because they have some fans in there, right? So...
I don't know, but I don't know. It may have been still taped though, right?
Right,
with fans
it might be, but I feel like it would probably be live.
Might have been.
Well, it's a similar deal to AEW with the live fans there.
It is. And NXT drew 766,000 viewers, which was up 16%. So while they did lose this week, they were up while AEW was down. So there's something for them, I guess. In the demographic, AEW drew a .32 rating, and NXT was a .19 in the same demo, which so that means that AEW won that by 68% this week. So another win for AEW, but overall the numbers were sort of down for them, but they still clung to a close win this week, which I'm not surprised.
Nice.
It's nice to see. Anything from you?
And related to the ratings is Monday Night Raw reaches an all-time low rating, and last week's AEW Dynamite beat all 3 hours of Raw.
Right, so that was apparently the USA Network is upset about this, right?
Apparently there's going to be big changes to Raw, but they've said that many times in the past, and it usually results in a bit of a change temporarily, and then it's just back to the formula.
I was reminded listening to another podcast about I think they said it was 2 years ago now. Remember when Vince and Stephanie and they all came out and they said like you're
Corbin,
the authority, and
with Baron Corbin,
right? We're gonna make changes and it's gonna be, and then that lasted for
literally the only change that stuck is no authority figures.
Yeah, well, but there is though. There's what's his face that I can never remember his name. Paige.
What?
The authority figure that's on the main roster stuff right now. I forget his name. You don't know? Well, this is how much we watch it.
What are you talking about?
The bald guy. He used to be a wrestler.
Adam Pearce?
There you go.
Well, he's like more of a backstage official, and
but he's making all the decisions for everything.
He is I guess, yeah.
He is
they're even breaking that now, I guess.
Some stuff I listen to consider him the authority figure because there's.
I guess
nothing
on
else.
Raw, right?
Yeah.
So
they're
even breaking that, I guess.
They are. So as you were saying, all-time low in viewership for each hour. And a new all-time low in the key demographic, which as you said, they got beat every hour by AEW Dynamite.
Which was last week's, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't a strong one. I don't think we thought.
Of what, Dynamite?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it much at all.
I think that was the one we weren't huge fans of.
No, I had it I think I gave it a C something, remember?
Right.
And you gave it a B-.
I'm going to try to find it right now while we're talking, but I think this was one of our less liked ones, and if it's still kicked Raw's butt.
I feel like the ratings are almost more indicative of what the show the week before was, you know what I mean? Because people are already tuned in and watching it, so it's kind of like, was the show good enough to get them back the next week sort of thing? I don't know, because you know what I mean? People are already watching it. It's not like they suddenly hear something amazing's going on and tune. Oh, maybe that happens. That's not how I operate.
Right. Well, I guess it was when like Raw was taped and Tony Schiavone did the Mankind thing, and then
right.
Yeah, I gave the last week's one like a B-, which is a low.
And I was
Dynamite,
a C plus, I think. So.
Yeah. So it was the low one, but.
Another little nugget I had
disappointment Monday Night Raw.
Just because he's one of our favorites on this podcast. Well, mine, because I watch Impact more often than you, but you like him as well. Ace Austin.
Hey.
I was reading a little article or whatever news item that him being off TV a lot lately might be a good thing, which I was like, okay, I'm interested to hear how they explain that. But they're basically saying, and I hope it's true, that while he hasn't been on TV lately and they don't really have anything for him currently, they also have they see something in him and they don't want to use him in a role where he's basically losing matches to wrestlers with storylines. So it's kind of like it's better than being
almost
enhancement.
Protecting him.
Right. So hopefully,
interesting.
Hopefully they're saving him for something big because I don't want them to sour on him because I think he's a future star for that company and somebody that maybe they can hang on to, right? Or he may end up going elsewhere. But for now, they have him, and he's young, and he's really good. So I wish they would focus on him a bit more. Mm-hmm. Anything for you?
I have actually a couple of Impact ones. So first, former X Division champion, former OVE member Jake Crist leaves Impact Wrestling.
He's gone, right?
Yeah,
I did see that.
I only really remember him as an OVE sidekick, and then I know after we kind of stopped watching for a bit, that's when he won the X Division title.
Right, he was he did transition to X Division. He's pretty good in the ring. He's not like a standout. He's not terrible,
but we never saw a lot from him, I don't think. But that's just because he was like one of Sami Callihan's henchmen at the time.
So I don't know where he's going to go. To me, he seems like a pretty good fit for Impact. Like, no offense to him, but I don't see people clamoring after him, right? Like, of the big two, I don't see really needing him or wanting him. Maybe he just wants to work
even
indies,
like Ring of Honor, I don't see needing him.
I don't. Like,
right?
he's not, he's not bad. He's not a standout, right? He's not going to move the needle, as they say.
Right.
Yeah.
Then also Impact Wrestling's Ethan Page has reportedly been in talks with multiple wrestling promotions.
Now, he's a guy that I can see catching on somewhere because he can talk, right? He's really entertaining.
Which I think makes him perfect for AEW, given all the amazing talkers they have.
Yes.
It just, if they have so many amazing talkers, then their promo segments are going to be, like, off the charts good.
But then the counter argument would be NXT needs the talkers more, right? So maybe he fits better there because he...
Maybe. But then I'd almost be afraid of what they do with him booking-wise.
For sure. But at least he would roll in there and be able to have lots of time talking, maybe, because he's so good.
Yeah, I could see him going into either one if he feels it's right. I think either place is good for him.
And I'm not sure about him as a single star only because he's been in a tag team for so long. And
it was so good.
Such an amazing tag team, in my opinion. Like one of my favorites in wrestling right now, probably. So it's going to be hard for me to see him as a singles guy, but there's potential there. He's gotten himself in tremendous shape. I wonder if it's just a coincidence. Right before his contract is up, right? He's in, like, by far, the best shape of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's something WWE would really look at as a plus, right? That he's now
right. Why do you think Jinder Mahal was boom WWE champion? Right.
I heard a thing about him too, sort of to go off on a tangent, that he talked to Vince McMahon when Vince was planning on pushing him as a champion, right? And he actually said, and they were using, I forget what I was listening to, but they were using it as an example of how Vince doesn't think that his fans are smart or pay attention, I guess, because he basically, Jinder said, like, it's great that you want me to be champion, but after you've been booking me as enhancement talent for 8 months, I don't know if people are going to believe it, right? And Vince's response was, don't worry, they won't remember, right? Like...
Are you kidding me? He was in the, like,
I knew you'd love that.
A Jobber faction, 3-man band, I mean...
Because I kind of like Jinder,
I mean, one of the greatest factions ever.
But there was no doubt that his push came out of absolutely nowhere. You know what I mean?
Right. So, it just felt like... It'd almost be like if James Ellsworth was boom, like Intercontinental Champion or something.
Not quite that bad, I don't think. But I know what you're saying.
It'd just be like... It just comes out of left field, you know what I mean?
Yep, it did. And I didn't mind it, the run, but it definitely did not go very well for him.
I really didn't enjoy it.
We got off topic there. Do you have any other news?
Yes, actually, I do have something sort of related to Jinder Mahal.
Go for it.
Allow me to I did put in a link to the thingy, so just allow me to get that. So NXT India set to launch sometime in January 2021. Yep. And first roster members have been confirmed. Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers are expected to be some of the biggest names going to the brand right now.
All Canadian boys.
Also, Indus Sher, who were the team that were managed by Malcolm Bivens.
They were super green, but I thought they had
potential, and I think they could do really well in this brand, especially if they're like of Indian heritage.
I'm interested in it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah. I'll probably check it out.
Jeet Rama, I don't know who that is, but then we also got Gurvinder Singh. Yep. I apologize if I butcher any of these.
I think that's pretty good.
Sukhwinder. That's okay. Sukhwinder Gruel and Laxmi Kant Rajut.
Cool.
All of whom were brought in after some Mumbai tryouts.
Oh, that was the name of that just came to me. Remember I talked about Rinka King and there was a tag team that was Cats? It was the Mumbai Cats. Now I remember.
Nice. And then an 8-person tournament to crown the first NXT India champion is expected to take place, which is what they did for the first NXT champion.
Right.
Rollins beat Jinder Mahal in the finals.
I'm not going to lie to you. I am more likely to watch that than main roster at this point. I will for sure give that a chance.
I will definitely check it out.
If I can find it.
I just hope they do a little better job than they've done with NXT UK in keeping prominence.
Yeah. It'll be hard.
And with all this, they have like so much programming now. Like, I feel like the only slot for this to go would be Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't even know if they... It could
even compete with Dark.
I don't know if they consider it competition for anything in North America. Like, I don't even know if the commentary will be in English, right? Which I won't care. I'll still watch it to check it out. But I don't even know if they plan on it being something a North American market is interested in or not. So we'll see.
Right.
I'm
interested.
If
you think about it, they'll have like Monday Night Raw, right? Yep. And then NXT on Wednesdays. And then Thursdays is NXT UK. And then Friday is 205 Live and SmackDown, right? And then if And then Tuesday, if they do decide to put NXT India there, that's like every day of the week you're getting WWE.
That's true. I did not even know what day of the week NXT UK was.
It's probably a prime goal of them. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday.
To have something every day.
Right. I'm going to assume that's it. Because just dominating the week.
According to Vince, all you ever need to watch is the network. Why would you ever need to watch anything
too much is
else?
Never enough.
You want comedy? It's there. You want drama? It's there. You want action? It's there.
Right.
That is his belief. And that is a sign of a... Interesting
I actually think this would be perfect for Jinder because he's already he's already had like a mega push, right? So he's already
he's a name.
Dare I say credible star?
Yep.
That could really benefit this brand because it's obviously going to be a much smaller scale because it's just like NXT India, right? It's not like a whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think this will really benefit the brand and himself. It'll give him something to do other than winning the 24/7 title.
Yeah, and hopefully we find some new stars from other places, and that's fine by me always.
And I would say, like, if he wasn't in Impact, Rohit Raju would be cool here.
Love me some Rohit.
Obviously, he's doing some stuff.
He is.
Well, he did lose the X Division title, so...
Spoiler alert.
If his contract... Oh, never mind. Sorry.
That's okay. It does not matter. I don't think many people are tuning in for... surprise in that.
He's got a turbo review later.
I do have that coming up. Anything else for news?
Yes, I do have a few more, I think, or a couple more.
Go ahead.
Retribution's recruitment attempts on Raw of Ricochet are set to be continuing, and their latest technique of recruiting Ricochet is having Dio Madden beat him in a match.
Right?
Pretty good tactics right there.
Amazing. And why wouldn't you want Ricochet? He's just a dominant force, right?
Right.
Like, he almost never wins, so he's perfect for them.
Right. They're like Dark Order.
I guess. I mean, and if they had sort of let us know that was the case, then maybe, right? Like, we're going to salvage stars that are underused or underappreciated, but that... Well, actually, I shouldn't say that's not what they've been saying, 'cause I don't know. I don't watch it.
They have been saying that in kind of a weird way. They haven't really been saying that, though, as far as I know, but... Next is the Young Bucks. Apparently, they turned down WWE 4 or 5 times pre-AEW.
I believe that.
Yeah, they're probably very sought-after talent. WWE would probably really be after them, but I think Young Bucks probably have talked to Cody very much.
Well, it was one of those they bet on themselves, right? They sort of went another route.
And they were already so successful, they really didn't need that, especially when they're about to form their own company.
And one of the things for them, man, is the merch. They sell so much merch, and they don't have to share that with anybody, right? Like, that's... Right. I'm sure that was a consideration for them. They sell a lot of T-shirts and stuff, so...
Right, and just their creative freedom as well.
It's great to see people that can be completely successful outside of WWE, right? Without having to give in to whatever they're going to make you do. And I really, like... Young Bucks aren't my favorite tag team in the world, although I end up loving almost all their matches, but I do respect the way they've handled their wrestling careers for sure.
Right, and I also do respect that they've waited so long to win the tag titles in AEW, just proving that they're not just going to book themselves. And I think every member of the Elite has done that. Like, Cody even had himself make it so that he couldn't win the world title, which I think is a statement of, like, I'm not going to pull a Triple H,
But I feel they're going to have to weasel out of that at some point.
Right, I guess. But which I think is understandable because that's going to happen. But I don't think it would be like, oh, Cody just wants to be champion. No, because if he really wanted to, he would have been the first champion if he really wanted to, right? And Omega's waited till like over a year, right?
Yep.
And he was tag champion with Paige, but I think that was genuinely a good run. So I think it was worth in that. But I think it's just like, it's not like Triple H where, like, he just has himself go over, like, CM Punk.
No, they're a little more thoughtful than that. And willing to help other talent, too. Because it's good. Like, what is that? High tide raises all boats, right? Like, if the product gets better, it's better for everybody.
Right, and I think the Young Bucks are actually going to be, like, some good tag champs. So even if they did win them early on, I wouldn't be super mad because... Like you said, I do enjoy, like, basically all their matches.
I don't know if I've ever had one of their matches where I was like, that was bad. Like, it didn't live up to my expectations, but it was never bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my last one, I don't think I said it already, but...
Interesting.
Impact Wrestling announced the return of the Super X Cup at the upcoming Genesis pay-per-view.
You did not talk about that.
On January 9th,
That's fun.
2021.
I did not know that as someone who watches Impact.
Yep.
That opens up for some maybe new talent.
Is the Super X Cup like an X Division thing, I would assume?
It is. Right. So it's lots
do you know what the winner gets?
No.
I would
probably
feel like
a title shot.
And a trophy, probably. Because trophies are fun.
But it might introduce some new talent. It'll be that sort of high-flying X Division style, which is kind of cool to watch.
Yeah,
so
I might check it out if you're watching it. But if you're not, then
if it fits our busy schedule, lockdown schedule, we'll find some time to watch it.
I'm sure we will. And
anything
now
else?
you may review your pay-per-view.
Okay, so I did want to start with just a really quick final resolution from Impact Wrestling Turbo review. So in general, this was a really weak show with the first 5 matches were incredibly ordinary and were honestly for me no more special than an average Impact. So I will go real quick through those. Tommy Dreamer defeated Larry D with a DDT. And if you forgot, that was for Larry's freedom, right? Anyways.
They just like handcuffed him in the front and then he just like walked with them.
Yep.
Or did he even? I don't even think he did. And like, why wouldn't you handcuff him behind his back? So one, then he can't like hit you with handcuffs. And also then maybe lead him away instead of just assuming he'll follow you or something.
Larry D's an honorable man, right? He's just going to follow his instructions. We already spent way too much time talking about that match. Nevaeh and Havoc win their match when Nevaeh hits a sit-out facebuster and a sliding cutter. And this was against the Sea Stars, she hit that to the larger of the Sea Stars, which is Delmy, for the pinfall. The Sea Stars did not look good here again. They've now had 2 matches in Impact, and I have been less than impressed with each of them. So I'm not sure why they're getting time when you've heard me talk about this.
Wasn't even a tournament match, right? So.
No, you've heard me talk about this Knockouts division. There's lots of good women here, and there's a lot of them are already partnered up with people, so I don't understand the need for the Sea Stars, but maybe I'm missing something, or maybe they just had a bad night. Tenille and Caleb defeated Eddie Edwards and Alicia when Dashwood connected with her spotlight kick to Alicia. Again, this was really nothing. It was not interesting. Then Hernandez defeated Falaba with a diving splash. I don't even know how this match was necessary, why it needs to exist on a pay-per-view, or I don't know if this is technically a pay-per-view. They seem to have them every month, so I don't know if they're calling them
WWE does that, so
specials or something else. But then Eric Young defeated Rhino after Eric hit Rhino with his mask. So none of that mattered. That's about as much detail as you need. I don't want to sound mean, but not one of these matches was entertaining, and I was starting at this point to get annoyed at how unspecial this felt. And then it sort of picked up a little bit, at least. So we got Manic, which is TJP, clearly defeated Rohit.
Dude, I knew it right away. They don't hide at all. His hair, his tattoos, just
it's
physique.
100% him.
Yeah.
So he defeated Rohit with a schoolboy pin. This was the first enjoyable match on the show.
And another way I know is, I remember him playing him at the, I think it was like some anniversary thing when he and Suicide returned.
Right.
And I think I even like heard somewhere that it was TJP, besides me like being able to see his TJP.
Yeah, so. I don't even think they're trying to hide it. It's like it's one more thing for Rohit to get mad about, I'm assuming, right? Is that he knows, everybody knows it's TJP.
Manic did look cooler here in his black and white getup. It did look kind of cool.
Yeah, they did a good job. I'm sorry to see Rohit lose the title, but he's infinitely more entertaining than TJP. But
he
it
had
seems
a good
like
run.
This storyline might not be done. It would fit Rohit's character sort of to make a big deal out of this losing to TJP, right? He can rant and rave about how everyone knows it's TJP. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
It was the best match of the show to that point by far. Then we had Deonna Purrazzo defeated Rosemary with the Costa Nostra pile driver, which is like a double underhook pile driver. It looks pretty good.
Like a tiger driver.
Yep. This match was pretty good too. I never felt Rosemary had a chance to win it, right? But because it's sort of...
She's at least a credible challenger.
She is, and she's a good wrestler, and this was put together kind of quickly, but it was a decent match. Then we had Carl Anderson on the bus with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, and the segment ends. They're sort of like winding up Anderson here a little bit, saying like, we want the machine gun
tonight. Is that what that was? They looked really weird, like Kenny looked.
It wasn't even a friendly conversation. It was like them sort of, not quite mocking him, but they were trying to wind him up to get him to be the old machine gun in this match anyways. So the next match was Anderson, and he defeated Ethan Page with the stun gun. This was a pretty good match, man. Anderson is a really good wrestler. He just doesn't always show it. It's like he and Gallows pick their spots when they're going to really put in the maximum effort.
Which is kind of stupid. It's almost worse than being bad. Like, because if you're good, then you should just do that all the time. You know what I mean?
Listen, as a person who's coached a million sports at a million levels... that is my favorite thing is consistency. The athletes that I know what I'm going to get out of them. Maybe they're not the best player on the field or court, but I know exactly what I'm going to get, right? Like the effort level is going to be consistent all the time.
And that's not what they bring.
I don't see that with these guys. Maybe that's just me. So then we had the main event, which was Rich Swann defeating Chris Bay with a Phoenix Splash in a very entertaining match. I like this quite a bit. After the match, Moose makes his way to the ring and picks up the Impact Championship. He hands it to Swann and stares him down as he heads back up the ramp. This was the match of the night for me, and it really showcased Chris Bay as a main eventer that they can turn to later when they're ready. I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe it's this Omega thing needs to run its course first.
Because maybe he'll win the belt, which I would love.
Swann is talented in the ring for sure, but he hasn't worked for me as the champion of this promotion, and I'm wondering if he's going to lose to Omega at some point anyways. That would be an entertaining match for sure. And if Omega is really doing this collector gimmick, right, like this might be where we're heading, which I'm okay with. So this show is not good. Nothing outside of the main event that I would recommend to anyone. There were other solid matches, but they're not particularly memorable. Impact really needs to cut back on their pay-per-views or whatever they call these specials. It's really hard to make these shows feel special when they happen all the time. So overall, I would give this show a C- with the first half really, really dragging down the overall grade for sure. So not a good pay-per-view. You don't need to see it. If you really want to watch something, watch the Bay Swan match, and that was about it.
Nice.
Right? So that takes us into one of the things we do every single week regardless, and that is our in-depth review of this week's AEW Dynamite.
Yes.
And that is you. So go ahead.
Yes, so we start with Matt Hardy and Private Party, aka Hardy Party, versus Hangman Adam Page, and the Dark Order's John Silver and Alex Reynolds. So your starting men are Hangman Adam Page and Mark Quinn of Private Party. Holds and counters, of course. Matt Hardy tags in, yippee. Collar and elbow tie it, broken up by ref in the corner. Hangman avoids a double team by Private Party, and he and Dark Order hit a triple big boot on Hardy Party.
Yes, they do.
Hangman, Silver, and Reynolds each clothesline their opponents out of the ring. Isaiah Cassidy's now legal. Reynolds gets a blind tag, and he and Silver double team Cassidy, followed by a running shooting star by Hangman.
I love their double team combinations. They're so fast and crisp. They look really good every week.
Yeah. And Silver is now legal. Kicks by Silver. Mark Quinn tags in. Pump kick by Quinn. Isaiah Cassidy tags in again. Double team combo by Private Party for 2. Matt Hardy tags back in. Cassidy holds Silver on his knees, and then Quinn moonsaults off of Silver's back onto him.
That's a pretty good explanation. I was struggling with how to describe that, but that's pretty accurate. I haven't seen that before, I don't think.
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked it.
It was neat.
Silver gets out of a choke with the back suplex. Sleeper slam by Hardy. Silver counters an elbow drop and hits a brain buster. Hangman and Cassidy both tag in. Hangman hits a flurry on Private Party, which looked really cool.
Yep.
Follow with slam on Cassidy and a slingshot plancha on Hardy to the outside. Big clothesline to Cassidy by Hangman for a 2 count. Matt Hardy tags in. Side effect for a 2 count. Hangman counters a twist of fate and hits a clothesline. Alex Reynolds tags in. Mark Quinn tags in.
I thought they looked really good together in this segment.
Reynolds and Quinn?
Reynolds and Quinn, yeah.
Flurry of moves capped off by cravat suplex for 2. I think this was Reynolds who did it.
Yep.
Tag team combo by Hangman and the Dark Order for 2, which looked cool. It's like Silver and Reynolds' usual combo, but I think there's also a pop-up powerbomb by Hangman.
Yes.
Draping twist of fate on the outside to Silver by Matt Hardy.
That looked really nice.
Hangman sent over the barricade by Cassidy. Gin and Juice by Private Party, and the Matt Hardy tags in for the pin, and Matt Hardy and Private Party get the win.
Yeah, so Hardy sort of wasn't doing any heel stuff the whole match, and then I guess that was heel Hardy stealing the pin at the end right after they hit the gin and juice.
Yeah, and I will talk a little about this later. And it just felt really weird and just all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was, because I had completely forgotten during the match that Hardy's most recent persona is heel, right? Because there was no sign of it in this at all. But I thought it was a really fun opener with a lot of cool double team moves, especially Dark Order. They're really fast and crisp, and Silver's kicks look really stiff. Lots of quickness, lots of double team moves. I have no complaint about Private Party here, and sometimes I do, right? I find them a bit sloppy or looking lost sometimes. I didn't notice any of that, so maybe they are improving, because clearly the talent and athleticism are there, right? It's just they just need more experience. It'd be great if they keep improving. I also thought it was odd that Hardy was a face the entire match until the very end. But a good match overall, right? Reynolds and Silver, I think, are awesome. And honestly, I know this is a super stacked tag division, but if they're built properly and things keep going the way they're going, I could honestly see them as contenders for champions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised to be saying that, basically.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good opener, but I think I had the wrong outcome. And it was decent, but not in line with some of their other openers.
Right. So you would have rather seen the Dark Order get the win here, you think?
Yeah, I think it would have been cooler and maybe add to, like, they're trying to recruit Hangman out because, like, see, we helped you win.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I thought this was a good start to the show. Yeah. I had fun watching this match.
Then we get an Inner Circle interview, and then MJF just basically talks about Dinner Debonair winning a New York Times award.
Yes.
Best performance thing. And then we get to a totally unnecessary segment.
I did like the one thing. Remember MJF? I think this was where he was subtly insulting Jericho because he was saying, like, everybody on the internet is saying I'm so much better than you, and I just don't think that's fair.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the bottom line is he's still saying on television, right, that he's better than Jericho, even though it's the fans are saying it. So I thought that was funny, and it was just a really quick segment, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, your favorite segment was
Then we get to
next.
a Cody and Brandy thing. Totally unnecessary. Present at the door. They unwrap it. It's just a way to announce a baby.
Right, so hold on. They're at home decorating, right, for holidays, Christmas, whatever. A mystery box shows up.
Right.
It contains baby boots, and Cody must let us know that they're... So just look at the events here. Is there a stalker? Does somebody know they're pregnant and is dropping off the boots to let them know?
Or did they order it? Did they order it?
That's what I'm saying. Who dropped off this package? They went through the effort of sending this to themselves to be delivered and turned into a segment like this. If you'd really look, it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they just show us the boots? Why are they getting the boots delivered to their own house? I don't know.
With like a baby keychain thing.
I wanted them to be surprised and that somebody else knew they were pregnant and it's a stalker angle, but I really don't think that's where they're going.
It's DDP.
Right.
That'd be funny.
But no, they just contrived this whole segment, and I just put, this is the most Cody Rhodes thing ever, right?
Yes, why did they feel they had this to be on
to
Dynamite? This is such a social media thing.
Yep.
Like, literally, did you see Rollins and Becky Lynch do this on, like, Monday Night Raw? No, you didn't. So I mean, like, good for them, but I don't care.
It's funny you say that, because one of my notes is, you further storylines on social media and internet platforms.
And then you put this on Dynamite.
You take the time and resources to produce this segment. Pure ego, Cody Rhodes.
I was just complimenting you for not having an ego, Cody. Come on.
Well, here it is. Yeah, I was not a fan of that. It wasn't long, but I felt it was completely unnecessary. But very, very Cody Rhodes.
I would even be mad if this was on Dark. Like, this does not need to be on a wrestling show.
Very Cody Rhodes. 100% Cody.
And speaking of Cody, here he is again. Cody Rhodes versus Angelico.
And you like Angelico's entrance, right?
Yes. He just looks chill.
Yeah, we talked about it on Matt Morgan was saying on the podcast he's on that he does things that somehow work for him. His little dances
if anyone
and
else
movements,
did it, they would
look dumb,
look stupid.
But it works for Angelico, and I kind of agree with him.
He just it's hard to explain. Just if you've never seen his entrance before, just go watch his entrance, just search Angelico entrance or TH2 entrance, because then you'll also see Jack Evans do a cool flip thing.
And he just has a cool look, right? He's like this long, lanky, like he's 6'4" and kind of skinny, and he just has an interesting style.
He's got a pretty good wrestling attire. Yep. Not gonna lie, just he's like cool. the one kick pad and thing that's like the neon green, and then the other one that's like black. That always looks cool when it's like, the two different colors.
I've been a fan since back in the Lucha Underground days.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Holds and counters.
Yeah,
lots of holds and counters.
Yes.
So many holds and counters.
And not even that's a bad thing, right? It's just a
thing.
Right,
it was just a lot.
That's how it starts.
I mean, Helico's good at that, but Cody...
He's fine. I don't have much...
He's not bad, but he doesn't need to do that much, I don't think.
Issues with him are generally not in the ring. It's everywhere else.
Drop down, leapfrog, drop kick by Cody. Clotheslines by Cody. Scoop slam by Cody for 2. Cool submission by Angelico, and Cody gets a rope break.
He bites the ropes to get the break there.
Angelico kicks out of a backslide pin, and I finally got the spelling. Navarro death roll by Angelico, the submission. Cody is able to get out, and Angelico counters a crossroads, and a Cody cutter for the win.
A top rope Cody cutter for the win.
Really.
Yeah.
And not only that, but Cody just, he goes up, right, and then he, takes a second to jump off the ropes. You can clearly see Angelico looking up at him standing there for a good second.
It is one
he
of those.
He could counter with a backstabber or move, let him fall on his back. Like,
similar to the Eclipse.
Usually,
he does not look great waiting for
usually, the Cody Cutter looks really good, and it still looked good here, but I'm saying usually looks more practical.
Right.
But, and also, Angelico couldn't even, like, kick out of this. He couldn't even just, like, lose to the finisher.
I know. I thought it was a decent match. I was hoping for better because I really do like Angelico. There were some cool moves, and it was obvious who was going to win, and I guess the silver lining is Angelico looked competitive for a while, and that's a start, maybe.
Yep. So then we get Team Taz. Taz gives congratulations on behalf of Team Taz for Cody's win and being a daddy, and Team Taz attack, and then Sting. Yay. And then Team Taz restrain Hobbs from Sting because Sting has bat. And I just wrote, so dumb. No. Thank you, Sting. Poor Team Taz. I just really don't like the way they were used here. They came out just to be scared off by one old man.
And I didn't like the stuff Stark said. I thought his lines were pretty lame here, and usually I think he's pretty good on the mic. I don't remember specifically what he said, but I made notes that it wasn't good.
Yeah. And just like, you've got like these two powerhouses, right? And then a young up-and-comer like Ricky Starks. How could you not take on one old man with a baseball bat?
You are definitely my son because you haven't seen my comments at all. And
I don't like Sting, and I think that's clear. But I hate this even more, knowing that he's making a decent faction like Team Taz look so stupid.
We are the anti-Sting podcast, sadly.
Yes.
So my comments are pretty in line with yours, buddy. I can suspend my disbelief for wrestling really well because you have to. If you're a wrestling fan, you have to.
Here, I can't. I struggle.
A group of fit, tough men in their prime, cowering as a 60-plus-year-old man walks out with a bat is too far for me. Right.
And like they're a pretty cool faction. They're booked strong, and this is the opposite of that.
So I have Jump Cody, a recent champion and current star. Sure, no problem. Get within 20 feet of Sting? No, thank you. It just makes no sense, but everyone's going to love it, so what do we know, I guess, right?
Yeah, and the match was fine, but Angelico and Team Taz were all just kind of pawns in a dumb
we're fine to go and attack Cody, who's a young, fit guy in his prime, but oh my god, here comes his grandfather with a bat, so we better run away. It didn't do much for me either, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't like to be negative, but it doesn't do much for me.
I have nothing else to say. I think we got it, but we definitely agreed on that. Nice. We honestly didn't even talk about that either.
No, we did not.
So that was just kind of funny.
Yep.
So then we get a Miro interview, and he's been fined $75,000 for attacking officials, because that will stop him from doing it again.
And then he's asked a direct question and never answers it.
Right. I don't remember that, but I'll trust you on that.
It's true. And
then Kip and Penelope's wedding date is going to be announced next week. Whoopee.
Why is Miro so lame? I don't understand what they're doing with him. I just want to like him again. I loved him as Rusev at the tail end. I was so excited for him to come to AEW, and he's just been not interesting at all.
Almost worse, dare I say. Well, not worse than the Lashley angle, but like worse than his original run.
And I'm wondering if this is them letting him sort of choose his storyline and booking as part of the deal to come there. But if that's the case, it needs to be taken out of his hands, because this is not interesting. And once we're done this podcast, my Saturday evening is spent listening to other people talk about the same things we did. And it's a pretty, I don't know any major podcast I listen to that think he's doing anything that's good here. So
Which
it's
sucks,
not just us.
Right.
I love the guy, and he should be amazing in AEW. He should be a monster. But they've made the choice, he's made the choice that he's this video game guy, and he's almost like the third wheel to the Kip Sabian Penelope Ford.
Not that they're not both amazing, because they both are. But
for sure,
I don't think this is a great position for Miro.
I just don't understand it. But anyways, we'll see where they go.
And next we got Eddie Kingston Speaks. You know when a segment is interesting when they just put someone's name and then speaks.
Yep.
That's always a good sign.
Eddie Kingston is the best.
He says he's going to address his enemies, mocks Pac after he and his family took him out and he's back at home. Or is he? Calls Archer a big goofy bastard, which I just found kind of amusing.
Yep.
Archer runs out for a brawl, Butcher and Blade attack, but then Lucha Bros and Pac attack. Woo!
Yep.
And then Pac and Archer are arguing over who attacks Kingston as he escapes. This is a decent segment, but it was short, but I'm happy to see both Pac and Penta back.
I thought this was Kingston's weakest promo so far. Not that
well,
that
he didn't
means
get like a lot here. I guess.
and it doesn't mean it's terrible because the guy's still awesome. The action afterwards was interesting to me. Archer and Pac as faces is sort of tough for me a little bit, but I'm willing to go with it because
because I feel like it would be very temporary just for this feud almost.
And didn't it seem, because you know how at one point like Archer and Pac were sort of facing off each other, like even though Archer towers over him, don't you just feel like Pac's just gonna kill him? Like there's something about that
just
guy.
Pac is so menacing.
His intensity is off the charts, right? And even though he's half the size of Archer, you're just like, I think Archer's in trouble if they ever.
Right.
It's interesting.
I didn't even think about that, but now that you mentioned that, I kind of agree. Just because like even just with like the wet hair and just like his beard and just he has that menacing way about him, right?
Intensity radiating off of that guy.
Right, and Archer can do all the angry backstage segments in the world, and I still think Pac would be more intense than him.
So. It's funny. A podcast.
And that's even funnier. Sorry to cut you off, but
okay.
That because you're a huge fan of Archer, right? So it's even funnier that you say that, right? Because I know you
I
love
like Archer,
him a lot.
but yeah, like even though Pac's a foot shorter than him, it's still like I don't like Archer's chances because that guy's just crazy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, what's next?
Oh, right, I am.
That's it. You're waiting for me to take over, eh? Nope, not yet.
I don't know why.
It's okay.
Dustin Rhodes interview.
Yep.
Cool. Rhodes says 7 was a bad idea years ago and it was a bad idea last week, which I thought was a decent line.
Yep.
And he calls it Evil Uno.
Yep.
So that's going to be a not great match. Probably won't even be Uno's fault.
At Holiday Bash, right? Dustin's fine. He can put on a good match.
No, he has been good, and I think the bunkhouse brawl is cool, and I think Natural Nightmares are decent, but like I don't know if he needs to be in like a singles match with a Evil Uno, who is good, but I don't think he can carry a match.
I'm wondering if this is them
curious, I guess.
Giving Uno a shot at singles with like a trusted hand, you know what I mean? Let's
Maybe.
see if this tag team guy, what he can do as a singles. I don't know. I hope that Stu Grayson doesn't get lost in the shuffle because we love us some Stu Grayson and Evil Uno.
Got to meet him. He was cool.
I know I've said it before, but he just was a really nice guy. We chatted with him briefly at a indie show back
he was
in the
cool.
before times, and he was a really nice guy. And man, I don't think that's what I said to him when we talked to him, right? Like, I really don't think his speed and stuff comes through unless you see him live. Like, he is incredibly quick. I still love that match, man, with them and was it Strong Hearts?
Yes.
Love that match.
OWE stars.
Yeah.
I really wonder what happened to them because they were.
Like, they were in AEW for a cup of coffee.
They weren't like fantastic, but they weren't like even bad either.
No,
like they were a good addition to a roster, right?
Yeah, just a super young, athletic tag team, and then
I
Shima too.
I thought Shima looked cool. Yeah, I always kind of liked him.
I was gonna say we talked to them too, but their English
That's when I bought a hat.
Their English was not great,
but they were that's kind
really
of
nice guys though. Yeah.
Yeah, and also when I was there, I saw Walter, and that's when I discovered that the logo on the WWE UK belt, it's like kind of elevated.
Yeah.
So it's like.
We did see Walter down in the basement of this place as we went to the washroom. He was down the hall,
and
looking
there's that
huge.
Psycho Mike guy, and then there's Killer Kelly.
Yep.
Jordan Devlin, Trent Seven.
Yep. He was a nice guy too. He seemed to be.
Remember he went in the crowd for that one lady.
Yep.
It was something.
Who was clearly a humongous fan of him, and he went out of his way to like go and chat with her or interact with her in the stands.
Yeah, that was really cool. There's a lot of other people too. There's that I said Psycho Mike already, right?
Yep. You liked Psycho Mike's gimmick.
He was funny. He was like, there was one time he was like, I think he had a headlock on the one guy, and he was like spinning around the ring, and he just kept like staring at the hard camera.
Was he the guy where his gimmick was everything he was doing was to try and get like signed by a major promotion?
I think, yeah, and he was like staring at the hard camera because he really that was funny.
That was funny.
Okay, we are getting off topic. So Best Friends, Top Flight, and Varsity Blondes versus the Inner Circle. Jericho, MJF, Guevara, Hager, Ortiz, and Santana. Basically everyone except Wardlow. AKA the Inner Circle versus Best Friends and Dark guys.
Yeah, because they've been hyping it as a 14-man tag, and then suddenly...
And then Wardlow's dealing with family issues.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Well, then I hope that goes well, Wardlow.
Best wishes to him.
For sure.
But I feel like that's a lot. That happens a lot. It's like family issues, almost as if it's a cover-up. But I would hope that everything's fine with him anyways. So.
Yeah, he's a massive talent, so I hope he's back quick.
Trent and Jericho to start. So Pillman Jr. tags in right away, holds and counters, crossbody by Pillman. Griff Garrison tags in, yay. Body slam by Pillman, followed by slingshot leg drop by Garrison. He's all right, but he's not
I don't need the Varsity Blondes yet on my TV.
Sammy
but that's
Guevara tags in. Corner chops by Guevara. Dante Martin tags in. Double leapfrog and then a drop kick by Guevara. Jumping leg drop by Dante for 2 as Guevara's standing, because Dante is the one with the insane vertical leap.
Insane, yeah.
Darius Martin, blind tag combo for 2. Ortiz breaks the pin. Dante tags in. Sammy hits a big forearm. That looked really cool.
It did.
Trent tags in. Santana tags in. Best friends and Proud and Powerful brawl, which leads to a mass brawl with all the competitors, because you can't have a multi-man tag with a big brawl.
Yep. And things break down and they all start fighting. Has to
happen. I swear that's the phrase every time.
Yep.
Then a best friends hug by Babyface Team, I wrote.
Yep.
Ortiz grabs the leg of Trent to help Santana take control of the match. 3 Amigos by Santana, and Ortiz tags in for a double team suplex on the third.
The third of the 3 Amigos, that's right.
Yes. MJF tags in this time. I think this is the first action of the match. Inner Circle attack Trent on the outside while the ref is distracted. Kind of like the babyface is trying to point it out, but the ref is distracted by them trying to point it out.
Classic.
It's kind of like when Candace is always trying to bust Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah.
Yes. Phineas and Ferb analogy.
Right.
Guevara is now legal post-commercial break. Don't believe there's picture-picture, so
probably
of
not.
course. Trent avoids shooting star press by Guevara and hits the running knee. Guevara rolls through, so he does land on his feet. And then Trent hits him with the running knee.
Yep.
Ortiz tags in, takes out Chuck on the apron, and Darius Martin gets the tag, takes out multiple Inner Circle members standing on the apron. And a standing Spanish fly to Ortiz. I didn't see this, but I just heard it on commentary, so I. It was
nice.
But
yep.
Nice. Dante Martin blind tag, dive onto Proud and Powerful on the outside. I believe is a Tope Con hero. Eat defeat half and half. To Ortiz by the Best Friends. Classic Best Friends.
Yeah, that was a nice double team.
Griff Garrison is legal by Big Flurry by the Babyfaces, and then a bat cheap shot by Jericho to Garrison. Big boot and F10 by Hager, kind of a
not a great looking F10, I didn't think.
Yeah, it's basically an F5. They just call it something else. It's kind of a tribute to Wardlow. MJF tags in to get the pin. Inner Circle win.
The one funny spot that we kind of looked at again is when Sammy goes to do his little kind of breakdance spin on the mat.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
And he accidentally clips Trent's head with his foot as he's spinning, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, I think that was at the end of one of the pictures.
I thought this match was okay, but I honestly didn't love it. It was a lot of really young green guys in the match.
Yeah, and I thought that it was weird that it had the same finish as the opener, and I think this actually the finish fit it more here than the opener, so yeah. I think they should have just not used it earlier. And I feel like some of the dark guys, more so Garrison and Pillman, got a bit too much here. Yeah. I think they really do need to be polished more, like we were saying when they were facing FTR.
Yeah, I don't mind if they're up on Dynamite every now and then just to see their progress, but I don't need them in regular storylines.
Especially in
weekly.
succession. I think it's 2 weeks in a row, I think.
Yeah. So this didn't seem to flow that well for me. It had some cool spots in there, obviously, with all of these guys.
But like I was saying, it's clearly Inner Circle versus Dark.
Yep. And serious quickness on display. It's honestly, it's really hard to have a masterpiece with 12 people involved, and I don't think this was one, but it wasn't terrible,
and I really think they've proven that they can have better multi-man tag matches than this. This was not one of the strongest ones, because they have had some good ones in the past. Like, I remember Lucha Bros and Butcher and Blade versus Bucks and FTR was really fun.
Yep. This was just some really young guys maybe trying to do too much.
I think it was just too much dark guys here, and I think Top Flight have a lot of potential, but much like Varsity Blondes, I really think they need to be polished more. So this was okay, but it wasn't bad, but wasn't really good either.
I agree.
Just kind of in the middle. Next we get Thunder Rosa interview. She looks like she's in a hotel kind of lobby.
Could have been.
She says she's wrestled all over the world, and Baker's the reason she lost the D-Doy. Rosa says Baker is the one who doesn't belong. Reba interrupts, and Baker attacks from behind. Baker applies a lockjaw as Reba pours water on Rosa, and they kind of wash off her face paint.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for.
Yep. Well, Baker rubbed her hand on her face after to wash off some of the face paint for no reason. Next, we get another pointless thing.
Did you like that? Sorry, did you like that little bit?
Oh, yeah.
I thought
it was fine. It furthers a feud that I am kind of interested in, but they really need to be doing more to make it interesting, because at first I was just interested because it's two pretty good talent, and now I just think I need some more for them to keep me into this.
I didn't think Thunder Rosa was great on the mic, but that's not a huge deal. I like the attack by Britt, and I think she and Reba are a pretty good combination, right? Like the dynamic between those two is good. Her name is
Rebel, but the Baker calls her Reba, so I just like to call it Reba.
Either one, right? So it's the attack sort of cut short Thunder Rosa from talking, which I think is probably a good move because that's not her strong suit, right? She's an in-ring talent at this point.
Even then, I think I've only started liking her after that one match against, was it Deeb, I think?
I think so, yeah. That was a good match. Yep.
Yeah, the one that actually started this feud.
Yep.
And yeah, I agreed. Mic work is not her strong suit at all.
And it is Baker's, right? So Baker's character work and Thunder Rosa is more of a talent in the ring, and we'll see how it goes together. I guess.
I think that could mesh well if it's done right. And again, I do trust them more than I would trust WWE.
And I just want a high-profile women's match on this show, right? It's been
that's not NWA.
Downfall is too strong a word. It's been the weakness of the show is the women's division, so I'm excited for a feud that I'm actually interested in.
Right, and that will be more prominent and actually features yes, Rosa's from the NWA, but at least it's not primarily an NWA rivalry.
It's unfortunate that it's a more interesting feud than anything going on in the title picture, but that's, I don't know.
Yeah, especially because it has Abaddon, who is kind of cool, but I don't think she needs to be in the title picture too.
No, it's not as
like The Fiend.
Right.
He was there a little too early, despite how much I enjoy him.
Right.
Next we get a pointless match to go along with the pointless Cody segment.
Okay.
SCU versus the Acclaimed. Acclaimed have been on Dark for a while now, and as someone who does not watch Dark, I have never seen them in a match, not once.
I've seen Caster on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and I actually thought his rap on the way in was pretty cool. And, and well
they have
done.
a just kind of low hip hop theme that works for an instrumental to his rap, and then Kaz raps back, which was it sounded okay, but it was very scripted.
Yeah, it was him not being a rapper and doing it, and it was kind of funny. But I thought it was a decent start to things.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of a funny back and forth.
I like Caster's performance actually.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And I was interested to see Bowens because I know nothing about him. So
he's clearly the mic man of the group.
He is.
He's their Dax Harwood kind of.
Yep.
And I don't know why, but I feel like Caster just has the face of a rapper. He just looks.
He pulls off the role. That's good.
He just looks like it, or he just looks like some hip hop guy.
Cool.
So Kaz versus Bowens to start. I don't know why I said that. Holds encounters. Old Man Daniels tags in. Combo by SCU. Caster tags in. Middle rope drop kick by Daniels. Bowens tags in. Kaz tags in. Slingshot elbow by Daniels, followed by slingshot leg drop by Kaz for 2. Daniels hot tag post-commercial break. Daniels hits offense on both members of the Acclaimed. Diving crossbody for 2 by Daniels after an attempted stop by Caster. Caster gets a boombox cheap shot on Daniels, followed by a slam thingy by Bowens for the win.
A slam thingy. I put his finisher, I guess, because I didn't know what it was either.
And then they challenged the Bucks to a title match next week.
So, very interesting. I was interested to hear your play-by-play of this, and this is a match I'm interested in seeing what other podcasts are going to say, because I was watching this with really closely to see Bowens and Caster, right? And your recap highlights it. They did nothing in this match in terms of wrestling. Look, go back up through your notes quick. Did you call one offensive maneuver for the Acclaimed?
I don't think so.
You did not. So
No, I didn't.
I would guess in my notes I said fewer than 5 moves between them in this match.
Yeah, and so I just wrote this was boring, and they needed a cheap shot to beat 2 much older wrestlers, and not only that, but they didn't get any offense.
They didn't do anything.
And then they challenged the Bucks because they are ranked number 5. Because it's Anna Jay and the Dark Order have taught us anything. It's that if you're ranked number 5, you must get an immediate title shot. Because you never know when someone else will steal the lowest ranking in the top 5. So you got to challenge before you are ineligible,
That's
right? And this makes no sense, but that could be a decent match. But make it make sense, please.
So I honestly have no idea if these guys can wrestle or not. Because
right. They didn't tell you here.
They basically took offense, did one basic move, and tagged out. Their act is kind of cool, and it might work, but I don't think they're ready if they couldn't even perform any moves on a national TV show.
Right, and now they're getting a title match? What, is it going to be the same thing? They win the titles with one move at the end?
And this is where I'm starting to feel like AEW may be suffering from having too much talent, right? Like, they don't need these
right,
guys
and
on TV yet.
Even if the Acclaimed are good, I think there's so much good tag teams already that they don't need to be on Dynamite quite yet. I think they can just stay on Dark, keep getting some wins, right? Build some credibility, and then, like, when there's an opening spot, bring them up.
Well, and this is sort of highlighted again later for me. It's in my notes later, but I'll say it now. Like, Jurassic Express haven't even been on TV in forever, and they're a good tag team.
They're amazing.
So we don't need the Varsity Blondes yet. We don't need even...
Top Flight.
Right.
Like, as much as I kind of like them, I agree. I think they just need some polish on Dark, and we're Jurassic Express, man. I need my Luchasaurus.
Have like a junior tag division and have titles and have it competed for on Dark if that's the route you want to go, right?
I think that would honestly benefit a lot of these younger teams a lot. Or, like, not younger, but newer teams. I think that would benefit them a lot.
But I mean, we say all this, but I do love the philosophy of the AEW guys that they do want to give people a chance. Yeah. So I don't want them to stop.
No, but I even think the junior tag titles on Dark would even also give them a chance, because then it gives them, like, when they come up, you could be like, they're former 3-time junior tag champs or something, right? It would at least give them, like, a reputation and, like, a record in AEW, other than, they're undefeated on Dark or whatever, right?
Yep.
I think, honestly, that would benefit them more than Dynamite. I think the Acclaimed can get the odd Dynamite match, but they need to have some offense and also not challenge the Bucks when they're number 5.
I agree. I was really trying to just see what their skills were like, and I saw nothing in this match.
Yeah,
but
and
anyways.
Honestly, if they had a good showing here, I'd be less mad about the number 5 they're challenging for the titles thing.
Right.
But they got no offense, and now they're challenging for the titles because they're number 5. Like.
Yep. And
I really
the Young Bucks will probably try and make them look competitive too, and give them
some
offense.
Will make no sense after this week.
Which will be interesting to see them do some offense, but anyways, we digress.
Yes, we do. Next we get a Top Flight interview, and they challenge MJF and Chris Jericho to a match next week. So
I thought the older one did a good job.
Yes, Darius is much better talker, so again, the Dax Hartwood of the team. This is just the opposite of what we were just saying. Like, get them more polished on Dark. Not another Dynamite match, but whatever.
Yep.
This could give the experience against a guy like Jericho. And they're probably not going to win.
I doubt it.
Next we get Evilise and Diamante versus Big Swole and Serena Deeb.
Right.
I really thought Big Swole was not going to be on Dynamite for a while, so
she's there.
Really disappointed. Deeb versus Evilise to start, so thank God Swole's not starting. Holds and counters, clothesline by Deeb. Swole tags in, never mind. Diamante tags in. German suplex by Diamante for 2. Deeb is now legal post-commercial break, thank you. Clotheslines to Diamante and Evilise. Neckbreaker on middle rope by Deeb, which looked kind of cool. Figure 4 leg lock by Deeb. Diamante tags in and breaks the submission. Because I think Evilise got, like, close to the ropes or whatever.
Yep.
I
did not take many
double
notes on
team
this.
Slam for 2, I think, by the heels.
It was.
Swole tags in. Swole botches a powerbomb as commentary comments on people underestimating her strength, and I'm just like, perfect timing.
Yep.
I laughed so hard. They're commenting on people underestimate the strength of Big Swole as she botches a powerbomb.
She was sloppy here. Was my note as well. Poor Swole.
The timing on that. And then Swole taps out Diamante with a cloverleaf. Swole and Deeb win.
And another thing was Swole at the end there. She was sloppy, and then for some reason...
Oh, yeah, she's, like, not putting on pressure on the submission, right? And then all of a sudden, puts on pressure, and then she taps.
She waits forever to fully apply her finisher.
Was she waiting for Deeb to take out Evilise or something?
I don't know. I did not enjoy this match. I thought Deeb and Evilise looked okay to fine, but the other two didn't. Like, even Diamante, who... I thought she looked kind of slow and off. I did not enjoy this match.
Yes. And then we had Nyla Rose attack.
We didn't talk about the post-match.
Yes, Nyla Rose attacks. Vicky Guerrero kicks.
Oh, my goodness.
These are air quotes right here for those you know. And slaps Deeb.
Almost worth going to find on the internet. They're probably already a GIF or something somewhere, because these are the weakest kicks And then she slaps her once, which is also
Quote,
an incredibly
unquote,
weak slap. It was the kicks wouldn't even.
I missed it, and then you showed me, and I laughed so hard.
Like, if I put this Booster Juice cup on the ground and she kicked it as hard as she kicked it, I don't think she would have knocked the cup over. And the cup's almost empty. Is all I'm saying. It was
That's
funny.
a funny comparison.
Funny.
That's funny.
Yes.
It was pretty funny when you reminded me to show me. And then Red Velvet chases away heels with chair.
Of course.
Because skinny little lady with chair is more menacing than two Hispanic young wrestlers and then big wrestler.
So this had so many people involved in it at the end. It felt like NXT last
like,
week.
Is this even Brandy Rhodes versus Jade Cargill anymore?
I don't know what's happening.
Well, because Brandy's pregnant, so probably not.
Right?
I guess I'd probably answered my own question there.
But the women's division is just, I don't know. They're just spinning their wheels.
People like Swole and Red Velvet and just need to be on Dark and not on my weekly TV screen.
But I don't even know who I want them to focus on. Like, obviously, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker.
Maybe even Deeb, because some of her matches lately have been really strong. So I would say, like, focus on her. Like, as much as we're complaining about they need to use their own women's division, I think until they figure their own out, have Deeb have some good defenses. Give her a rematch with Layla Hirsch or, like, someone else who's talented on the roster. Like, just give Deeb these cool little title matches against like lesser opponents. Kind of like I was saying with Hangman the one week.
Yeah.
You know, when you face John Silver and like Kaz and whatever, like it's a good way of building people, and just it gives you some good matches with a credible star against some other credible stars who are like not quite the same level but not bad either.
Hirsch is someone I think they could focus on. I do definitely think she's cool.
Even give her the NWA title just as a statement, like she's going to be a future player, right? But yeah, it was really confusing. Vicky Guerrero was trash.
It wasn't good.
Yes.
Not a fan.
Best friends promo. They say they can't wait for the wedding announcement next week, kind of implying that it's not going to go right because anything related to weddings has to be messed up.
Absolutely. It's like a scientific law at this point. Anything to do with the wedding will not go well.
And Jurassic Express package.
Right.
Highlights and commentary and stuff. And Jurassic Express are going to face Colt Cabana, 5, a.k.a. Alan Angels, and 10, a.k.a. Preston Vance next week.
It's basically just here. We're going to, in case you forgot about them, here's a match where they're going to win so that you can remember that they're cool.
I mean, at least we are going to see them. So.
Yes.
But yeah, you are right. It is kind of weird.
It's one of these too much talent on this show, maybe, right?
And then FTR at the commentary table. Dax is using one of the headsets and to complain about focus being put on Jurassic Express here, even though we're happy about it.
Yes.
Instead of FTR. So.
And I thought the intensity from Harwood was really good, but he was yelling way too loud and clipping his microphone.
Right, it's like because he doesn't have a pop screen, or it's like the puh and the buh.
Well, and he was just yelling so loud that it goes above. Like he needs to move the mic away from his mouth.
Right.
But anyways, part of the intensity, I guess, of it is that he couldn't be bothered to care. He was just yelling because he's angry. I thought he did a good job.
Kind of like Ethan Page.
Yep.
So we got some stuff for next week. Evil Uno versus Dustin Rhodes. Duh. That was set up already.
Yep.
Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed because they are ranked number 5. Got to get the title match.
Of course.
Next week.
Top 5.
Pac versus Butcher. That might be interesting, honestly.
Yeah.
And then Hikaru Shida in action next week because she's so high profile. She's so good. She doesn't even need a scheduled opponent.
They'll figure out who it's going to be later.
Yeah. And then we got our main event, which is Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela, AEW World Championship, no DQ Eliminator match. I think it's only called Eliminator match because this is the scheduled first round match of the tournament.
I was going to tell you that, yes, because you were wondering why, and I did hear that is why.
But
so you're
I guess,
correct.
yeah. So Janela yeets a trash can at Omega during his entrance.
And another great intro for Omega. The standard Josh Roberts.
It's always pretty funny. They always find a way to squeeze in North Carolina. I find it amusing every time.
Yep. It's good stuff.
Suicide dive by Janela that looked pretty good. And then a Kataro crusher on the seated chair by Omega, which I thought looked really cool.
Yep.
Like, I even asked you to see that again, and it just looked so cool. Like,
it looked really good.
He got, like, good height on, and then I feel like Janela just hit the chair really good.
He did. Did a beautiful job.
Cool. Yep. Tope con Hilo to Janela while Janela's seated on the chair by Omega, which looked pretty cool. Callis is now doing commentary with a mic at ringside because Tony won't give him his headset.
Yeah, they wouldn't give him a spot, so then he just grabbed like a house mic and is walking around the ring doing commentary.
Kind of like Sami Zayn did once, Clash of Champions last year.
Right.
Nakamura was defending against The Miz.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that, but
I do.
Sami Zayn was really nice. So yeah, Callis gives Omega a mic for play-by-play, which was funny.
Yes, during the match.
A moonsault with the trash can by Omega for a near fall, which was really cool.
Yep.
Chop by Omega, knee strike, more cookie sheet shots, which he did do earlier. I just didn't mention it. Springboard stomp with the trash can to Janela.
Yep.
Which looked really cool.
Not quite as cool as EO being inside it, but it still looked pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, not as cool, but still looked really good.
It's funny because EO basically outdid every spot these guys did.
Yes.
In one match.
Yes. I think I just always love when a trash can dents like that.
Me too.
Just satisfying, like when they get slammed on it or something like this.
Yep.
Where am I now? Okay. One Winged Angel is countered into a Poison Rana by Janela.
I like that escape.
As Sunny Kiss, yeah, I do too. Sunny Kiss is setting up a table on the outside. Leg drop through a table by Janela from the top rope, which looked really cool.
It looked really painful.
Yep.
It looked like it was right through Omega's head to me.
Yep. I think it was actually, yeah. Janela misses a moonsault, eats a V-trigger, another V-trigger, and then a One Winged Angel for the win by Omega. The win.
I was thoroughly entertained by this.
I just really liked it. It's kind of a short match that got Janela some cool offense, but made Omega look dominant as like a killer champ.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun.
They just really did really good here. Like, it's hard to explain. Go watch this match if you can. It was just short and sweet.
There were cool spots. There was funny commentary. Like Callis on the mic was funny. Omega getting the mic was interesting.
It was really funny.
The flurry to end, right, with the V-triggers and the One-Winged Angel looked really
and I really
cool.
liked the chair Kataro Crusher and, like, the table spot was really cool. The trash can spots were cool.
So even though you know, like, basically exactly what's going to happen
and it
here,
was even, like, super short, too.
it was still really fun. I thought this was
really
a good main event.
And then afterwards, Callis cuts a promo. Callis claims that all the haters have been silenced now that Kenny has beaten Janela, but Pac interrupts and says they have unfinished business. But Pac says he's actually not here to be selfish, and he's talking about how Phoenix never lost in the tournament. And so it's basically like, well, if you're going to give Janela a title shot because he was out of the tournament, you should give Phoenix a shot too, because it was a similar thing. So, which I think is a very fair argument.
It is.
Callis tells Pac not to tell Omega what to do, but Pac says he already talked to Big Tony K, and the match is already set. So Omega versus Phoenix is set for New Year's Smash, which is in 2 weeks, night 1, which I'm just like, yes, please.
Yep.
And so I'm just going to read my notes. It's a lot of what we were saying already, but so the match was short and sweet, very good. Given the role he's been on lately, Omega's obviously going to win. Janela always only got a bit of offense, but it was really good offense.
But he took a beating really nicely.
And took a good beating as well. And it was perfect because also Omega needed to look dominant. And Callis was pretty funny on the outside, which I found it a little annoying first, but then it got pretty funny, actually.
No, he did a good job, yeah.
And Phoenix versus Omega, yes, please, I'd take that any day of the week.
That could be
anytime.
Amazing.
So this show was pretty mediocre, but it wasn't, like, bad either. The opener had a weird finish and outcome, but it was pretty enjoyable. And Cody versus Angelico was fine, but it was only for Sting afterwards, which seems to be a lot of Cody things lately.
Yes.
And Team Taz needs to do more and be booked better and not just be pawns in dumb storylines or be Cody and Darby's punching bags, right? They don't need to be cowards who run away from an old guy dressed as a goth, right? Kingston's segment was fine, and I'm pleased to see Death Triangle back again. And the 12-man match was okay, but the dark competitors were a little too prominent, in my opinion. SCU got too much offense, in their loss to the Acclaimed, who are somehow getting a title shot, even though they're ranked number 5.
Yep, that's how it goes.
The women's tag match was lame, and the aftermath was just as good as the match, I would say. And I'm now noticing how much tag team wrestling was on the show. And normally we would compliment that, right? But most of these were like singles wrestlers in tag matches, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like Matt Hardy in Private Party, or like Hangman, Silver, Reynolds. Like, it's either singles wrestlers teaming together or singles wrestlers in tag teams or multiple tag teams, right? Rather than like actual tag team wrestling, like FTR versus Jurassic Express, for example.
Right.
And there were many good promos, and some were good and some were not. And next week's show looks okay, but not as good as a TV special should be. But I'm willing to cut them slack because they are running 3 in a row.
Right.
But I do have to question the choice there, because it's going to be difficult, as I was telling you, to set up a good kind of almost pay-per-view worthy card 3 weeks in a row when each of them is supposed to be one of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be tough.
But the main event wasn't long, but kept their new champ looking good. Sets up a match I'm really excited for, and I'd give this like a solid B, almost a B+.
Nice.
Like, it was pretty good.
For me, I like the opener a lot more than you. So I really like the opener in the main event, and the announcement of Phoenix Omega as well is pretty exciting for me.
Sick.
But I wasn't thrilled with very much in between those two things. It was better than last week, but it wasn't amazing. From wrestling to the promos, other than maybe Baker's attack and Caster's entrance rap, nothing was super memorable for me, and I actually had to scroll back up through my notes to sort of refresh my memory on what was going on, which isn't a very good sign, right? It's not a sign of a memorable show if I didn't know by the end what happened, right? So I would say I gave it a B as well, almost a B, closer to a B- than a B+ for me. It feels like they were making a concerted effort here to get some young talent on the show, the Hollywood Blondes, the Top Flight, the Acclaimed, and I'm sure that's going to pay.
Which is fine.
It's an investment in their future, and it'll probably pay off later. But it means that other more established talent that I would prefer seeing are sort of waiting for their turn.
Right, which I think Dark is a decent place to get these younger teams experience.
But there's also some I don't know if it's rumors or past that at this point of AEW getting more TV time. So maybe this is just them evaluating, like, let's stick people on TV, see what they can do. And because if they're getting more time, right, maybe they're trying to decide what they're going to do with that extra TV time. So I haven't looked into it. I've heard that they may be getting more time, like a second show or something. So maybe they're just trying to figure out who can work on TV for if they do get more.
I almost feel second show's a little too soon for AEW, but
I'm not ready. But
at the same time, they do have a giant roster, so it's kind of a conflict of interest.
And if it turned out to be good, I might have to cut out my ROH or my Impact or something, because I only have so much time in my week to watch this nonsense. But
yeah,
no, I love it. Don't get me wrong.
This
but
nonsense that we
it's
call
not the most productive use of my time.
It would suck if it's on Sundays.
Right.
That'd be pretty not good.
I guess that finishes up our AEW Dynamite review for this week.
Yep.
And that'll transition into our weekly trivia segment, which is where Jack dazzles us with his knowledge of professional wrestling.
Well, I hope to.
And this is off the top of his head.
Yeah.
All right, this week the topic is, since we're heading
wrestling.
Since we're heading into TLC tomorrow night,
Tables,
I guess.
ladders, and crap.
So it's TLC trivia. So
yay!
This includes questions of the pay-per-view and just matches, right?
Okay.
And it comes from a couple places. I think it was Bleacher Report and some Wikipedia.
Bleacher Report.
Right. So here we go. Somewhere around 15 questions is what I usually go for. TLC was established in 2009 and replaced which December pay-per-view?
Ooh. Armageddon?
Correct.
Nice.
You just figured it out?
Yeah,
Did you know
I remember
it was
Armageddon being December lock because I remember the 6-man Hell in Cell in 2000.
Yep.
And then I remember being December in 2006 after December to Dismember.
Nice. In 2014, the name of the event changed slightly. What was the change and who competed in the match that led to the name adjustment? Good question.
Tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs.
Because?
I first noticed this in 2K, I think it was 16, because it had the 2014 TLC arena in there. Eric Rowan versus Big Show in a steel stairs match. Ooh.
That is correct. Well done.
What an exciting stipulation.
Which tag teams had a match that inspired the creation of the TLC match, not the first official TLC match? At what event and in what year did it take place?
So WrestleMania 2000? No?
So it was a match that inspired it. It wasn't technically a TLC match.
No, WrestleMania 2000 wasn't a TLC match.
Oh, that's not what I have as an answer. No.
The triangle ladder match at WrestleMania? No.
Nope. Not
was
WrestleMania.
It Edge and Christian versus Hardy Boys?
Correct.
At No Mercy, was it 99 or 2000?
99, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
And it was like for money and also Terry Runnels as a manager.
And just to remind listeners, if you don't know, if you haven't been with us from the beginning.
I was not born.
He has no idea what the topics are, even before we do this. I don't let him see it. He doesn't know. It's just we roll into this studio and I ask him questions and he is not prepared at all, other than he is a bit of an encyclopedia. All right, next question. The first ever official TLC match occurred in what year at which show and featured which wrestlers?
SummerSlam 2000, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian.
Correct.
Edge and Christian
That
won.
match was one of the ones that blew my mind as a wrestling fan, I must tell you.
Edge and Christian won.
Correct. The second ever TLC match occurred in what year, at which show, and featured which wrestlers?
WrestleMania X7, 2001, same people, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian.
Correct.
Edge and Christian won again.
Largely considered the best WrestleMania, right?
Yes.
After more than 3 years, the WWE brought the match back in 2006 on an episode of Raw. Who were the competitors?
Edge and Ric Flair.
Wow, I thought that might be one. And was it for anything?
WWE Championship, and Ric Flair was Intercontinental Champion at the time.
I thought you might not get that one. Which?
It was in my top 100 matches book.
I like this one. Which wrestler took part in 6 of the 7 TLC matches that occurred up to this point in 2006? So
Edge?
up to the point of the previous question.
Edge?
That is correct.
Yeah, I just know because he was in the singles one, and then he also won John Cena later in the year.
And it was clearly going to be one of those original
right,
6,
obviously. And then I just know there's the TLC 4 on Raw. I can't remember if Edge was... No, he wasn't. But he would have been in TLC 3, at least. I don't know.
SummerSlam 2009 contained a TLC match on the card. Did not remember this. Who were the competitors?
This was also in that book, and I think it's an infamous feud, a little underrated. Jeff Hardy and CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk won, and then a steel cage match on SmackDown would follow, which would send Jeff over to the WWE, because then he would go back to TNA.
Right. Okay.
Oh, and Undertaker appeared after the match.
TLC, the pay-per-view, debuted in 2009.
Yes, it did.
Can you name the competitors in the main event TLC match?
Ooh, I don't know.
Oh.
Rey Mysterio?
No, it's a tag team match. I'll give you that.
Was it DX?
Yes.
Versus
Which members?
Jericho?
Correct.
I thought that was the opener, but I knew this match was on the pay-per-view, but Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus Jericho and Big Show, and the finish came when so one of the ladders was broken in half. So there's the 2 sides to the ladder.
Yep.
It was broken in half, so Triple H propped up one of the halves, and Michaels climbed it to win the belts.
Nice. Good details.
And
sir.
also they super kicked Big Show when he was holding Jericho on his shoulders to try to grab the belt.
Yeah.
And then Jericho fell really far to the outside.
Nice. TLC 2011 contained a triple threat TLC match for the WWE Championship. Who were the competitors?
Alberto Del Rio.
Correct.
John Cena.
No.
CM Punk.
You don't know anything. Yep. Correct. And? Punk.
Rey Mysterio.
Del Rio and? No.
Rey Mysterio.
No.
Kane.
No. Miz.
Oh, damn you, Miz.
You didn't know that. That's funny.
Well, right. I guess it had to be CM Punk because that would have been when he had his big reign.
How many TLC matches has Jeff Hardy won in his career? Interesting question.
5.
No.
4.
No.
7.
0.
Ha, you're stupid, Jeff.
Is that right?
I don't know, probably.
If you don't remember any offhand, I just thought that was
no, because Hardy Boys lost the TLC matches.
Those are the ones I remember.
He teamed with RVD in TLC 4, which he lost. He lost the one to
there
Punk.
We go. So I guess he's 1-0. Interesting, right? I thought that was
suck,
cool.
Jeffrey.
Right. Who competed in the first ever women's TLC match and who won? I thought this would be, because it was recent, I thought this would be like, boom, snap.
Was it Becky Lynch?
She's in it.
Charlotte?
Yep, she's in
Asuka.
it. Who won?
Asuka.
Correct. The next year brought the first ever women's tag team TLC match. Who were the teams involved?
Lynch, Charlotte, and then the Kabuki Warriors, which is Asuka again, and then Kairi Sane.
Correct.
Sane and Asuka won.
Nice.
Yes.
3 more.
That was when Kairi got the concussion.
That's right. Oh, yeah, and Becky sort of rolled her under the ring to save her, didn't she? Was that match?
Yes.
Yeah. And then they had to, change the finish, I think.
Yes.
There were 2... Look at me knowing stuff. There were 2 TLC pay-per-views that were brand specific. In what years did they take place?
2016,
and for
2017.
Hold on. And for which brand each year?
2016, 2017.
And which
2016 was SmackDown
Correct.
in the usual December slot.
Yep.
And then 2017 was actually in October.
If you say so.
And that was the pay-per-view where there was some replacements. AJ Styles replaced Bray Wyatt to face Finn Balor, and then Kurt Angle became the Shield's dad.
Right. I remember
in that big weird handicap match.
Yeah. With that figure you can find everywhere with Kurt Angle.
Oh, yeah.
In Shield gear.
And then the 2016 one had AJ Styles split his tights open. Or he had the little circle on his butt cheek.
Nice. All right, 2 more. What was the main event TLC match at the 2016 SmackDown specific event you just mentioned?
Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles. Stupid James Ellsworth cost Dean Ambrose the match.
And was it for anything?
WWE Championship.
Correct. All right, my final match, final question. I'm pretty sure you know this one. What was the main event TLC match at the 2000... What? Oh, I think I meant to put in the 2017 Raw specific event.
Kurt Angle, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins
Correct.
versus The Miz, Sheamus, Cesaro, Braun Strowman, and Kane.
In what type of match?
TLC handicap match.
Correct. Wow. Very well done.
I remember that.
So you almost knew all of them. Jeff Hardy not winning got you, and then
Stupid
a couple.
Jeff Hardy.
It was your second choice answer that was correct, but basically you nailed all of them.
Yeah.
Well done. Right, so that concludes our off the top of his head segment. And after that, as always, is our other weekly in-depth review, which is our NXT review.
Which you get the pleasure of.
I do. So here comes our NXT review now. NXT started out with Kushida and Leon Ruff versus The Way. And we're right away off to this match.
And Theory's now wearing like long trunks, kind of like Bobby Lashley used to wear, instead of tights, which is now what Bobby...
Yeah.
Well, he used to wear tights, and now he doesn't.
I just don't notice these things generally. So Kushida dominates on the mat and ends up spanking Theory at the end of that little flurry there at the beginning of the match. We get a running knee and a tag to Leon Ruff. Theory gets control of Ruff with a suplex. Ruff does that thing where he bounces off multiple ropes and then escapes out between the legs of, I think it was Theory, and then hits a drop kick.
I think he did it once when he was facing Gargano. Now it's just this thing, I guess.
So Ruff turns his attention to Gargano briefly and points at him and ends up taking a running back elbow from Theory to sort of shift the momentum. Gargano is in now, and Ruff uses his quickness to gain the advantage. Front suplex by Gargano, and Theory's back in quickly. Double suplex saved by Kushida, and double drop kick to the heels now. Leon Ruff falls off the top rope to the outside and lands really badly, and they even sort of paused and they checked on him. I don't know what he was going for, but he missed everything.
Yeah, he just he slipped and then just kind of fell off. It looked really weird.
It wasn't great.
Felt bad for him.
Yeah, it didn't look good. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then Theory eventually throws him back in the ring, but Ruff hits a DDT for 2. Drop kick by Theory into a diving spear from Gargano that I thought looked pretty cool. Theory's in control of Ruff on the mat until he flips off the ropes and hits a clothesline. Hot tag to Kushida. He comes in and dominates with a flurry of offense to both. A running armbar takedown to Theory and a kick to Gargano. Ruff with a missile drop kick and a double running enzuigiri to Gargano. Clothesline by Gargano, and he tags out. We get a torture rack into a blue thunder bomb by Austin Theory that looked pretty cool. Double super kicks to Ruff, and Kushida breaks up a pinfall. Kushida gets taken out by Theory on the outside. Theory hops back up on the apron to make a blind tag. Ruff hits his cutter off the ropes finisher and the crucifix pin on Gargano, not realizing that Gargano isn't the legal man. Theory runs in and kicks Ruff in the head and hits some crazy new finisher that sort of flipped him onto his face in a flatliner type of... The end of it is a flatliner. The beginning of it is different. He kind of grabs his... I don't know. Can you describe it? Do you have anything better way to say it?
He underhooked one arm and then grabbed his leg and then flipped him into a flatliner.
Yes, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I don't know if he can do it against everybody. He is a very strong guy, obviously, but Leon Ruff is one of the smaller guys he's going to face, right? So hopefully he can hit this on everybody, because it looked pretty cool, I have to say. I thought this was a good enough opener. Even Kushida looked really good for a stretch in the middle. I thought the offense he got looked pretty cool. I feel like The Way is going to elevate Theory and probably Indy Hartwell, but I'm thinking it might hold Gargano back a little bit, right? He doesn't feel like as much of a main event contender when he's involved with sort of these kind of matches and helping out Theory clearly, right? So, I mean, we'll see where it goes. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought that finisher was interesting, and Leon Ruff is definitely a good guy to test it on, I would say.
Yeah.
He's very light and also good at selling, so.
Yep, it worked out well.
I don't feel as strong about the Gargano thing as you do, but I do agree. Like, this isn't, it's definitely not meant to benefit him the most, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could. We'll see what they do with it, but right now
I had my doubts about his heel run in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely gonna be used to elevate Theory and Hartwell more.
Yep.
And more so, I'd like to see how it elevates Hartwell, because we haven't seen much of her prior to this, whereas Theory, he's had a mini main roster run, he's had like a bunch of matches, right? So even one against Gargano, right? So I'd like to see what they do with Hartwell because she hasn't done much. But
no,
this was okay. I don't like Kushida.
Yes, I thought he looked good in the parts that he had there. Then they kind of go to this a few times throughout the show with Loomis sitting on kind of a podium, and he's sitting on a stool on that podium with an iPad on an easel and what's it called, the Apple Pencil or whatever in his hand. He's going to do some sort of artwork for us, obviously, and we'll go back to it as the show goes on. Then we get a Storm and Rhea Ripley package. It's Storm just talking about how she ran Ripley out of the UK when she beat her. Rhea knows she won't be intimidated. Like, Rhea knows that Toni Storm won't be intimidated by her. This is the new Toni Storm, and she doesn't care or need approval from anyone. And, of course, it's Toni time, etc., etc. I thought this was a decent promo, and I like the reminder that she and Ripley have history because I tend to forget these things. So I'm always happy when they sort of say, helpful. Remind us of it. So I thought this was okay. It helped me to get into the match a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, but I still don't think she's great at promos.
No, it wasn't amazing, but I was okay with it. Then it was just Pete Dunne is quickly shown getting ready for his match backstage, right? Warming up or whatever
Kyle
he was doing.
O'Reilly.
Yes. Then we have Mackenzie. She's there with Shotzi, asking Shotzi about her match with Indy Hartwell tonight.
Shotzi, like, whoopee.
And I think she also mentioned how Shotzi's team lost at War Games. Shotzi starts out by saying she's proud of her team's performance at War Games. She mocks the trophy that the Garganos have made and says that she'll break their best friend. And I thought she was actually pretty good here in this promo. It was more subdued, more calm than usual. And then, of course, she ended with the part that annoys you. She was howling and yelling and whatnot. But up until that point, I thought she did a pretty good job. And it shows she's got potential to sort of tone down the character a little bit and just be a little more serious. So I thought this was okay. What about you?
She had a decent thing going until the howl at the end.
Yeah.
And this is my issue with Shotzi for the most part. Her character is so convoluted and ridiculous that her promos are always cringy, wacky, and stupid. And then the rare few promos like this, where it's strayed from, were decent, and then they throw it all out the window with a howl, a scream, or a welcome to the ball pit. It's even more annoying because these promos make it seem like there's a slight chance of improvement, and then it's clear to me that this is not the case. This is the definition to me of the saying, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, except replace 2 with like 5 or 6. And this is made worse by her complete lack of in-ring skill. And some would say, oh, she's had some good matches. The only one I could think of is against Dakota Kai, and even that was Kai clearly carrying her. And I know she's not good in the ring because she couldn't have a good match against Io Shirai. And this was lame. And just, yeah.
I thought she did a good job. I mean, I know you don't like the energetic bit at the end, but clearly somebody does because this character...
It's just like, it ruins the potential that there's she's going to change into a decent character. Just like, it was a decent promo until she just goes back to
maybe
Shotzi.
She's just showing us she's a complex character. She can be both sort of calm and thoughtful.
It's convoluted rather than complex, I would say.
All right, yeah. So this just in, we're on week 22. Jackson still is not a fan of Shotzi Blackheart.
This is the podcast where
he is consistent.
Where I tear into Shotzi and also Big Swole.
I don't love Shotzi, but I'm not quite as angry about it as you are. But that's okay. That's your right as a citizen, as a fan of wrestling, to hate what you want to hate. Then we get what I thought was my surprise match of the week for sure. Tyler Rust versus Tommaso Ciampa. And Ciampa grabs a chair from ringside and sets it up right basically at the base of the ramp by the ring, puts a Thatcher t-shirt on it, and the commentary team sure go out of their way to assure us that
beat us over the head.
This is an invitation. Right. It must be an invitation. Do you think it's an invitation? Could it be an invitation? It's probably an invitation.
Do you think it's an invitation?
I'm not sure if it's an invitation.
How do they know?
We get holds, counters, and reversals to start off and to show us that Rust has been learning from Thatcher. I think I kind of like that idea that, yes, he's clearly picked up some things from Thatcher. He can kind of hang on the ring now with Ciampa.
Yeah, I thought like a lot of his wrestling holds and all like different ones he does throughout the match, just really put it across that he is a student of Timothy Thatcher, right?
Yeah, it makes sense, which I guess is probably why they chose to partner them together, because this guy does know some actual wrestling and they can present it as he's learning from Thatcher, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. Thatcher does accept the invitation that was an invitation.
Does.
He was invited with an invitation.
He was?
So he comes down to ringside. We get big chops by Ciampa and a running back elbow. Ciampa throws Rust sort of out of the ring and he kind of lands at the feet of Thatcher. So obviously there's a brief interaction there. Rust kicks Thatcher and Ciampa rolls him into the ring. Thatcher and Ciampa talk trash, and Thatcher is sent away. Rust hits Ciampa with a forearm and an arm wringer, and then he sort of drops down to the floor, and it slams Ciampa onto the apron, which I kind of liked. Ciampa, this seems to be his new thing. This is a couple matches in a row now. He hits 6 clotheslines in a row, the final one being like a leaping clothesline, and then an air raid crash for a 2 count. Chops to Rust while Rust is on his knees. Spinning back kick and an axe kick to Ciampa for 2 by Rust that looked pretty good, really quick and really crisp. Stomps to Rust to break a submission. A running knee to drop Rust down. A big boot to the face and a flipping snapmare by Rust.
Yeah, it was like a flipping snapmare thing. It looked insane, like not even in a bad way.
No, it looked really cool. I don't think I've seen that before, so I was pretty impressed. And I've seen this guy wrestle a bunch, but this was showing me, when I watch Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, I can't really get a great gauge because they might not be working with people that, you know what I mean, that draw the best out of them.
Right.
So I've seen this guy wrestle a ton, and he's always looked pretty good, but I did not know that this was what he could do, right? Because he's now wrestling with a world-class wrestler in ring, and so his game was really raised here. So we get a stretching double arm submission by Rust and a rope break by Ciampa. Kicks to Ciampa's injured arm. Ciampa snaps. He hits strikes, his running knee, and a Willow's Bell for the win. This match was a lot better than I'm making it sound, I think.
It was really good. And like after, I'm just like, holy crap, please give me more Tyler Rust.
Right?
He was insane.
Thatcher's being held back by officials as Ciampa leaves. Yeah. I thought so too. I thought this was
he just like some of his, like the axe kicking, it was kind of like Booker T-esque, and like some of his kicks look so crisp. That snapmare thing really caught me off guard, and it was really cool. And then there's like Malcolm Bivens after, and I think Malcolm Bivens is such a good mouthpiece that like that'd be really interesting, because like Tyler Rust could just be this like really good in-ring technical masterpiece, and then Bivens can be his mouthpiece, you know.
And then it also creates maybe a storyline where there's competing people for Rust, right? You've got, is he a student of Thatcher? Is he going to work with Bivens? And you can go somewhere there if you're thinking Rust could make a face turn at some point. So it seems like they have plans for this guy.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, they really like put it across, like not by beating us over the head with commentary, but with like just the way he wrestled, that he is a student of Timothy Thatcher.
It was the classic he showed us rather than them telling us, right? Which is what we always want.
He was just really good, and it really surprised me because I haven't seen him at all, and like
I'm saying,
really he was in good hands with Ciampa as well, right?
This is a clear indication of how your opponent matters, because he looked incredible here. He could grapple, he hit strikes, he showed crazy athleticism, quickness, some great looking quick kicks. Ciampa looked really.
And he's got pretty good hair.
Ciampa looked really aggressive, and I thought the finishing sequence, he looked really good, and I thought this was just an excellent TV match.
Just like I don't know if this is the right term, but like a sleeper hit, just a surprise of a good match.
Because if you look at that on paper, great, this is basically the guy.
A squash match for Ciampa.
Right. This is where he's going to kill this guy before he gets to Thatcher, right?
This was great.
Yep. No, it was an excellent little match.
I prefer this than the Ciampa Thatcher feud, honestly, just because this was just. It was so good.
Very fun match if you didn't see it. Then we get the Grizzled Young Veterans. They talk about
Jim Drake,
who they've beaten, and that there's a lot of new tag teams around, but they are still the best, and they will soon be recognized.
I like that they reminded us of their Dusty Rhodes Classic journey, just reminding us that they do have some history on the main NXT brand.
Yep. They'll soon be recognized.
They mentioned Impact's Alex Shelley. Sorry.
Oh my God, dude. Same sentence twice that time.
Sorry.
Be recognized as NXT's #1. It was a basic promo, but Gibson's delivery is really good, so it kind of works, right? He's excellent on the mics.
It's one of those phrases he repeats, right? So.
He can make just an average promo a little bit more interesting, so I thought this was good. Then we get a really quick, kind of cool-looking package for Karrion Kross, just reminding us that Doomsday is still coming, because he's back, and he'll be back on this show,
It's still coming. Just when you think it's not coming, it's still coming.
So all of the little visuals and stuff that are associated with him, I find pretty cool. So it was like a raven and some other symbolism there.
When was it when she like burned the logo or whatever? Was that when he relinquished the title? I just remember that being really cool. Remember?
Yeah, I think that was, or maybe just before that.
Remember though, like they burned.
Yes,
they did like kind of like Seth Rollins. That was really cool.
Then they show us what happened on the commercials, and this was where Bivens was out talking to Tyler Rust, and you can hear like Rust is kind of sitting in the corner in the ring, and Bivens is on the floor near the corner talking to him. You can hear him telling Tyler Rust that he's a star.
After that performance, I don't disagree.
That's what I said. I'm more interested in this now because I've seen how good Rust is, and like I said, I've watched him for years.
Yeah, because didn't Malcolm Bivens do another recruitment like last week or whatever? Yes. And it just kind of felt random.
They made reference to him giving him his business card before, which I didn't catch.
But now, like, I could see the the desire for Bivens to be managing this guy, because he just really a bit of a star-making performance here.
Yeah, he had a really good showing against really the megastar.
And I mean, if Leon Ruff can be North American champion, this guy sure as hell can.
Right, makes sense to me. So Loomis, it cuts back to him. He's drawing NXT New Year's Evil logo on his iPad. Okay, I did not really care for this throughout the whole show. I don't.
Yeah, and the payoff later is very
it's
not important.
It's not super consistent with his character, right? So it feels very sports.
Is he a stalker? Is he an artist? Is he
Feels very sports entertainment to me.
Yes.
But anyways, then we get Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne, and I was confused. I'm like, what? Is it the main event already? Did we find a bad version of this to watch? Like, what's going on? But no.
I just wrote before this match, I'm really excited for this. They had a really good ladder match, some good exchanges at War Games, and they just have good reputations and are really talented, so this should be good. I really want Pete Dunne to win, but I'm fine either way, and I think this should have been the main event, honestly.
I agree.
Before even saying anything about this match, but I mean,
I would watch these two. Just no build, just
beat the crap out of each other.
Announced 5 minutes ago that they have no history and they're gonna wrestle. I'd be like, fine, I'm in, right?
Right, it's one of those matches where they're so good, you're fine with without a build, right? Because some matches need the build and some would just benefit from the build, but don't need it.
Certain guys, just as a wrestling fan, put them in the ring together. I can watch it completely out of any context and enjoy it. These guys would be two of those for me.
Agreed.
So I thought at the beginning they were announcing that there would be no commercials for this match, but that wasn't the case.
You said Wade Barrett said in its entirety, which would imply no commercials in the match, right?
But they were just saying it's all going to be picture in picture, so you'll see every minute if you want to. I actually thought that was a nice touch, right? It makes it this big fight feel like we know this match is a good enough offering that we don't want you to miss any of it. So I kind of like that little detail added in there. So as this thing is about to get started, Drake and Dane attack Undisputed Era, and then Breezango...
No, they attacked, I think, Birch and Lorcan.
Oh, sorry, Birch, yeah. I don't know why I put UE. I meant to put the brand. Attack them, yes, and then Breezango show up, and they join the brawl.
I thought, so I saw Tyler Breeze do the dropkick, right? And based on his haircut and just, what he was wearing, just at a quick glance, I thought it was Pat McAfee.
Nice.
And I saw Fandango, I'm just like, oh.
So luckily for me, Breezango is back, my favorite tag team. Just kidding, sarcasm. So, and it's kind of interesting because all of this melee is happening on the floor, and O'Reilly and Dunn are just in the ring, a few feet away staring at each other.
Another thing I found interesting that I pointed out to you is that so Dana and Maverick are attacking the brand, right? Keep in mind this team formed because the Undisputed Era attacked them.
Yes.
So where are their priorities?
I don't know. I guess not in the right place. So it's kind of a cool image, right? These two guys are just completely ignoring the chaos that's going on outside the ring as they just sort of stand and stare at each other. And then the match starts, and of course we're going to get with these two guys lots of holds, counters, reversals. After a quick little outburst to start as they're trying to get the advantage on each other, and then it sort of turns into the reversals, which is fine. It's not a complaint. It's just a way of sort of summarizing a lot of different things going on. Modified surfboard by Dunn at one point, and then back to a few more counters and reversals. Drop down, leapfrog, and a big clothesline by Dunn.
Yeah, you were reminded to show me that.
Yeah, it was in the sound of the clothesline. It was just a big slap.
It was some of them it looks cool, and this one it more sounded cool.
It did. Boot to O'Reilly after Dunn flips off the apron onto his feet. Forearm exchange on the floor to a 9 count, and they both hustle back in. They continue their strike exchange in the ring, and O'Reilly lands some knees and kicks to the leg of Dunn. A running kick to the back of Dunn as we head into a picture-in-picture, and that's where I was like, question mark, but then I realized they didn't say no commercials, just that we would see it all. So it was there, but it was a commercial.
You had a little confusion there.
I did. Back from commercial with a German suplex by Dunn. A bitter end is countered into a guillotine by O'Reilly. Running knee to Dunn's chest, but an X-plex by Dunn that always looks cool.
Yeah, it was I think this was it, right? Where it was a knee, but it looked almost like a chest kick.
Yeah, it was. And the X-plex
it was a knee.
Such a simple thing, but I don't remember seeing people do it before, and it looks really, it's just you start a suplex and release it right as you start it, basically, right?
Right.
Cool
just as they're midair. It's just a simple thing that I don't think no one's, right, I agree, it's something that I think anyone could have done, but
they
no
didn't
one has.
For some reason. Stomp to O'Reilly's arm, and Dunn is bleeding from his mouth, as they point out to us, and at some point the mouth guard flies out as well.
I noticed that too. I just noticed his teeth were red.
Yes.
And then I was like, is he bleeding? And you're like, yes.
Yes, he is. Painful submissions by Dunn and a stomp to O'Reilly's ribs. Neck breaker by Dunn. More submissions and arm work from Dunn. Knee to Dunn's midsection, kicks and knee strikes before a leg sweep from O'Reilly, all done really quickly, obviously, as he does.
Yeah, it's literally in 2K19 as the O'Reilly combo.
Oh, nice. 3 double underhook suplexes, and the last one he sort of releases early.
Well, I think it was 2 suplexes, and then it's like a double underhook DDT, also a 2K move.
Yep. Leg kick to Dunn, and Dunn gets stuck up on top of the ropes. They battle up top until Dunn flips out of a German suplex.
They were kind of both sitting there for a second.
They were up there a while. He flips out of a German suplex, lands on his feet, and kicks O'Reilly, who's still hanging upside down in the corner.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
It looked cool. Vicious stomps to O'Reilly as he's still sort of hanging there, and a running double stomp to finally knock O'Reilly down from the turnbuckles that he's been hanging from. We come back from the commercial, and they're having a tug of war sort of through the corner, each standing on the apron, bashing each other's heads into the top turnbuckle.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
And they both are down for a minute. I feel like that's been done a few times lately. It's sort of picking up as a common spot.
Or like
not that I mind it.
Them pulling each other into something.
Yes, the ladder was one, right?
Yeah, and then this.
Yep. Knee to O'Reilly's face and a sit-out powerbomb by Dunn for 2. Stomps and an arm breaker by Dunn. We get a rope break. Gotch piledriver, countered into a submission and then an armbar. Counters and reversals into ankle locks and arm locks by both guys. We get a headbutt by Dunn, a brainbuster by O'Reilly, and a wee rewound to see Dunn sell of it was awesome, right? It just looked like he just went dead weight. So I love a brainbuster anyways, and then Dunn did a great job selling it, I thought. A knee kick and a forearm by O'Reilly. It's a lot of O'Reilly when he gets the chance, like kicking Dunn's legs, right? Going to work on that leg.
Yeah, he's a very good striker. They talk about Undertaker's a pure striker. I'd say that about O'Reilly.
Yeah, he looks legit, right? Like he is legit. High knee and a regal plex to Dunn for 2, and his mouth guard has flown out.
The only reason I know the name of a regal plex is again 2K.
Yep. Hey, that's where you learn a lot of stuff. More submissions and counters. Kick to the chest to a seated Dunn, but Dunn fires up and hits kicks of his own. He does his finger snap thing and a chest kick to O'Reilly.
Targeting the digits, as they say.
We get an attempt to a bitter end on the... it's reversed into a suplex off the apron that we don't get to see until a replay later.
Yeah, the camera work was not on point here.
So just suplex from the apron onto the floor. It looked pretty crazy when we actually did get to see it. It did look good, and it actually looked safer. It's funny because when we didn't see it properly, you're like, oh my god, that looked awful. But then when you actually saw the replay, it was quote unquote safe, right? He still did a suplex to the floor, but he did land pretty well. Dunn rolled in the ring, and O'Reilly hits his top rope knee to the back of Dunn's head for the win.
I don't love that as a finisher. Like, it does look good, but like it doesn't feel finisher.
But if this is real, that for sure would work, right?
Right, and they did already beat the crap out of each other, to be fair.
What did you think of the match?
I thought it was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it a lot, don't get me wrong.
Me too.
And let's get one thing straight, this was good. But I did kind of prefer their ladder match.
I did too.
I thought that was better. But this was still really good and sets up a rematch that's going to be really good as well. So
I thought this was
And I think this really should have been main event.
I thought this was another really strong match. Again, the ladder match was probably better, but there were higher stakes and
it's a ladder match.
And a ladder involved. These guys, I don't think, could have a bad match for me. I love their style, and they seem to have really good chemistry together. Even they started out War Games together, right? So
right, that's what I'm saying. They had good exchanges in that match.
They just seem in sync, these two guys. I thought this was another really strong television match.
I wonder if they're friends.
And it kind of actually has stakes to it, right? So I'm fine with a rematch of O'Reilly and Balor at any time as well. That's another pairing that I'm fine.
And I'm hoping that still will one day get Dunn versus Balor, because I really want that.
I think you will. They've a ton of talent. Any combination of these three guys I'll watch any day of the week, basically. We then get Rhea Ripley. She's asked about Raquel Gonzalez, and Ripley says that Gonzalez is totally different when she's by herself. That's the gist of what I got, that she's a different person when she doesn't have all the backup around. I don't even
remember this promo happening, and we watched this yesterday, so that should say all I need to say.
And then she goes on to say that Toni Storm is the same piece of trash she knew way back, and she's going to end this once and for all, is basically it.
She should say it's a new Rhea Ripley, too, because she was heel in UK, so...
And then we get my favorite recurring segment, which is Xia Li and Boa. Xia Li is crying. She's being forced to repeatedly kick Boa, who's on
and I was under the impression, based on like things I had heard about it, that she hit Boa with a stick, but I guess it was this instead.
So she's forced to repeatedly kick him, who's begging for it to stop. The master is there ordering Li to continue, and she does with a violent flurry while crying. We end with the close-up of the mystery woman who was there watching this the whole time. It's like a very close-up of her eye this time, again with her hair in front of it, sort of. I don't know, man. Even though this didn't really progress the story much further, I thought this was awesome.
I just like that, like, one of the punishments is her forcibly, like, it's, again, her trying, like, repeatedly doing strikes, but now she has to, like, attack her friend, too.
Yes, and like I'm saying, she's going to have to be a monster when she comes
right, and
back.
then Boa's going to have to be, like, one of those guys who can just take punishment, I would assume.
That could be his thing, right?
Because he's been getting hit with a stick, and now he's getting assaulted by his friend who's now got knuckles of steel.
So I thought this was awesome. It was really well filmed and produced.
Another highlight of the show, probably.
So it's really eye-catching, right? And what I'm thinking, it like demands your attention. So if your mom walked by when this was on, I think she would actually watch it and be like, what's going on here, right? Like, I just think it's that interesting. I look forward to it every week. And even though I'm always like, you need to progress the story. You need to progress the story. And honestly, for the last 3 weeks or whatever, it probably isn't progressing the story. It's kind of different versions of a similar thing. But I'm still finding it super interesting. And
it's like almost sort of progressing it, though, if you think about it, just because like it's progressing.
It's slightly different every week.
Being punished.
So I like the slow build of this. I'm really interested in where it's going. I don't know if anybody else is. This might be where we're on an island.
This is where we're just unique.
Really like the Xia Li stuff, but I enjoy it every week, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
Agreed.
All right, Indy Hartwell versus Shotzi Blackheart.
Unlike the Don O'Reilly match, I am not excited for this match because Shotzi Blackheart has a reputation of bad matches and some botches, and Indy Hartwell is still like very green, I would say.
I was not really looking forward to this either, but away we go. Shotzi takes down Hartwell with the short arm knee. Indy gets to the ropes to break the ground submission. Blackheart goes for a running senton on Hartwell, but it was pretty botchy, honestly. This senton did not look good.
Yeah,
the landing of it was weak.
She has that reputation.
She does. She's Jeff Hardy. Hartwell takes advantage and suplexes Blackheart for a 2 count. Blackheart regains control by tossing Hartwell into the corners. This time, Blackheart is able to hit Hartwell with her inverted cannonball. Blackheart knocks Hartwell off the apron with a wrecking ball kick. LeRae tries to distract the referee by standing on the apron, but the referee ends up catching Hartwell, hitting Blackwell with the trophy, and there's the DQ. Candice LeRae gives Shotzi Blackheart, basically after the match, they're all in the ring and they're holding Shotzi's arms, and Candice gives her the wicked step-sister stomp right before the segment ends, leaving Blackheart lying while the Way sort of stand tall in the ring. Thoughts?
Blech.
Yeah, it was really not much going on.
Lame match, dumb finish, pointless aftermath.
Right, again, this is sort of, is this going to help Candice LeRae? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Working with Indy Blackwell.
I think this Indy Hartwell,
Blackheart. There's too many hearts involved in this match.
Oh my god, yeah.
Blackheart, Hartwell. I honestly was just trying to get through the recap, getting the names right. I think I got the right moves for the right people. This really didn't register for me. I would assume
if you got Shotzi and then botch, you probably got it right.
There was one sort of botch in there. I didn't think anyone looked really great in this, but nobody looked terrible. It was just kind of there.
It was too short to be good.
I'd love to have some in-depth analysis of that, but It was just kind of there.
Yes.
Anyways.
That is a good analysis. It was kind of there.
They cut to a Karrion Kross promo package. Kross talks about how he became NXT champion and made everyone suffer. Kross said Doomsday is coming, and he prays to God for those who ended up getting trampled in his path. Pretty cool. I don't know. Standard thing for him. Yeah. Then we get a very brief Bronson Reed hype package. He'll be returning, which I'm happy about. I kind of was getting on board with him, and he just dropped off the face of the earth. I don't know where he went or what happened to him. I haven't heard anything.
He's returning, and I don't care.
Yeah, you're not a big fan. I kind of like
him. I really didn't like him, and then now they started to push on. I was like, I'll give him a chance, and then after the ladder match, it's just a drop in prominence for him.
It is kind of strange. It seemed like they were just starting to give him a little bit of build, and
I
then he was
just
gone,
starting to maybe like him, and then no.
It could easily be he was overseas, right, and can't get back. Because he's, Australian, I believe?
Yeah, maybe. But I think he lost to someone, once during the time. So I don't even know if it was that.
Could be travel issues. Who knows? Anyways. Then we get a very competitive match here. Karrion Kross versus Desmond Troy. FKA.
FKA. Denzel Desjardins.
Right. So Kross manhandles Troy and eventually hits him with the Doomsday Saito and then a cross jacket for the submission win. Cross talks into the camera saying that he challenges Damian Priest for a match at New Year's Evil. This was a squash, plain and simple. It was fine, right? We get this guy on TV. We get him a promo. We get him got to get his intro on TV for sure because it's amazing. And just a really quick match to remind us of his dominance. I thought this was fine.
Yeah, it was a squash match, so not much to say about it. But Cross versus Priest should be interesting.
Yeah, it could be good. That match honestly could go either way for me. It could be really good or not, just depending, right?
They're not no, I agree.
They're not the two strongest workers in the company, in my opinion. Priest is good.
And Cross
just a different style.
Cross.
Yep. So we'll see where that goes.
I mean, Cross has had like a longer match against Keith Lee. I don't remember that being good, but I don't remember it being terrible.
Is that the one where he was hurt though, right?
He was hurt, yes.
So he was kind of limited, I think.
Yeah, but so I mean, like it's not like it'd be the first time where he has a competitive match, so I think that could be good for him.
Yep, let's hope.
And I'd like to see him have like a longer match without an injury.
It's definitely a big man match, right? Those are a couple big dudes
for sure,
so
and not even like more like tall big this time, because not like Keith Lee big.
Yeah. So then we have Mackenzie Mitchell. She's interviewing Isaiah Scott, and he is angry about losing to someone like Jake Atlas. Scott regains his...
Imagine he's referring to like gay people, and he's just like being a jerk.
It's not the best choice of words to use with Atlas, right? I'm hoping that can't be
No, that's
where
not
they're
what
going.
he meant. I'm just saying,
But
like, imagine that's it.
The phrasing, it's almost like a "you people" thing, right? Which is never a good thing to use.
Right.
But they've drawn zero attention to the fact that Atlas is gay, right? On the show, I don't think.
Which I think is both good and bad thing, because like you'd want to acknowledge it, because maybe then he's like in support of it, but then you also don't want to like,
you don't want to make that as
come across as like, like
that's his complete identity, right?
Right,
because that seems to be what they end up focusing on.
I think AEW's done a similar job with Nyla Rose,
and
like not acknowledging it too much, which is
Sonny Kiss as well, right? Like it's not the entirety of his character.
Yeah, it's not like his... Right, it's not like that it really matters.
People are complex beings. They're more than just their sexuality, right? So you can't really count on WWE to treat it immaturely, I don't think. So
it's almost better for in their case, in WWE's case, for them not to acknowledge it.
Yep. So Scott regains his composure after starting out pretty angry here and challenges Atlas to a match next week. Scott
don't want to see this match again.
And Isaiah Scott then leaves. And as Mackenzie's sort of trying to wrap up her interview and do her outro, she's interrupted by a goofy hyper, Everrise. They want their loss last week to be stricken from the record book. And basically Chase Parker ends the promo by yelling Everrise rules in Mackenzie's face. I actually liked both parts of this. I thought Swerve was way more interesting here as this heel. I thought he had more personality in this promo.
I like Swerve much better here.
I thought there was more personality here than months of his babyface character that they really did nothing with. So I'm hopeful because he can have amazing matches. So hopefully this heel persona works for him.
Yeah, and Everrise's thing, I just felt like it was just generic. Oh, we're the best.
I think they were just being weird and funny, and I like that they got a chance to do something outside the ring. And I think this can be your... like mid-card heel tag team for a long time.
I don't think they're ever going to win the belts, but...
I don't think so either. I mean, I'd be okay with it because I think they're actually... I like that they play this sort of sneaky, weaselly, opportunist heel team. Kind of like FTR light kind of idea. I like them. I don't know.
They're all right.
Canadian. Dexter Lumis is finishing up his drawing because we were all anxiously waiting for that to be done. It's now in color, and it reveals that he is the host for New Year's Evil. This is pretty lame. Why is having a host of things matter, and how...
Right, and like, I mean, Shotzi hosting Halloween Havoc was dumb, but it like almost made sense because she's got a dumb, weird character that would fit it.
Her gimmick fits
But this
Halloween.
just makes no sense. It's like having a host for... the sake of having a host. Like, it's like the WrestleMania host. Why did Gronk need to host it? Why did New Day need to host it? Why did Rock need to host it?
One key difference between Gronk and Dexter Lumis, Gronk talks.
Yes.
You now have a host of a pay-per-view who doesn't speak.
Or like a pay-per-view caliber show.
Sorry, yes. A special show. So he doesn't talk. So I'm interested, I guess from that perspective, I'm interested. Not that Shotzi said much either, right? It's just like come out in the costume.
Yeah, she more howled and screamed.
Do some stuff.
Had a spark thingy.
But his gimmick is basically he doesn't speak, so now he's the host. And would he even accept? Could you see Dexter Lumis sitting down in a board meeting and being sort of negotiating Right? Like, imagine he's
Are you okay with hosting this show?
We're going to take your non-response and dead stare as a yes. if
in kayfabe.
If you do accept our offer, just stare at us and say nothing. Okay, perfect. You're booked. Honestly.
Just in kayfabe, that's how it would go,
right? It had to.
Right. He can't say no, otherwise he'd be breaking kayfabe. So
interesting. We'll see. Then we get Finn Balor in a dark room cutting a promo.
Finn Balor in a dark room? That is very unusual.
Weird, right?
He'd never done that before. Finn, what are you doing?
He says that O'Reilly took him to the limit and broke his jaw, but O'Reilly still lost was the bottom line. Balor said the match is not going to be Balor versus O'Reilly 2, but Balor versus O'Reilly the end.
Are you having issues speaking there?
And I liked the line, and I lost control of words. So I kind of like that line, right? It's not.
No, it was a pretty good line. I agree.
It's Balor O'Reilly the end. This was a standard Balor promo lately, right? Short, intense, but pretty good. Like, I'm not saying it was bad. It's just what he does on NXT. Then we get, was that our main event? It is our main event. I had to double check because it doesn't feel like it should be to me.
Right,
But anyways.
And I think we already established what we think the main event should have been.
But it was, in fact, Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley. Ripley takes down Storm right away with a shoulder tackle, roll-ups and counters, and a chop exchange. Storm tries to duck a chop, but Ripley adjusts and hits a double back slap. Ripley then catches...
Double back slap? That sounds
she
so
sort
weird.
of bent over forward, and she slapped her on the back with both hands. Ripley then catches Storm with a crescent kick as Vic Joseph continues to talk about NXT having the best women's division in the world.
I don't think so.
I think they do.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know who's better, but I just thought it was interesting. He mentioned it several times in this match to the point where I made a note of it.
I think the upper bits of their division's good.
Storm knocks Ripley off the apron with a boot heading into the commercial. Another crescent kick, cravat knees, and a basement drop kick by Ripley. Vic Joseph announces a very Gargano Christmas for next week. I don't know what that means, but
it's a Christmas that's very Gargano.
Very Gargano. Ripley and Storm, although I'm happy to see them on TV talking, they're one of the more entertaining acts outside the ring, right? So if you're gonna do stuff, do it with them, I guess. Ripley and Storm trade running strikes, with Ripley eventually hitting a running drop kick. Ripley locks Storm in the Prism Lock, which is like her inverted cloverleaf. I think it's kind of a cool looking move, actually.
The cloverleaf, it looks pretty cool.
The Prism Lock or Prism Trap or something like that.
That's what it's called?
I think so.
I thought it was like the inverted cloverleaf.
No, I think she calls it the Prism Trap or Prism Lock. I forget.
I don't remember.
You can look it up for me there. Storm escapes and sends Ripley into the bottom rope and follows up with a basement clothesline. Ripley hits Storm with a bridged German suplex for 2. Storm then throws Ripley into the bottom turnbuckle. Ripley lifts Storm into an electric chair and sort of drops her down for a snake eyes on the top turnbuckle for a 2 count. Ripley hits Storm with a series of leg drops for a 2 count before Storm holds onto the ropes to avoid a riptide. Raquel Gonzalez makes her appearance and gets up on the apron. Ripley dropkick Storm into Gonzalez to knock Gonzalez off the apron. And of course, this is enough to distract the referee. Gonzalez lawn darts Ripley into the turnbuckle. And then Storm catches Ripley with a running hip attack to her head as she's sort of Ripley seated in the corner. And then she hits the Storm Zero for the win. And Toni Storm has defeated Rhea Ripley. Thoughts, young man?
This match was fine, and I'm just like they're gonna restart this feud between Gonzalez and Ripley, and I'm okay with that, I guess. But at least acknowledge their previous.
They don't, right? They're making this,
right, like at least acknowledge it so that this makes some sort of sense.
It's like they're doing this build to the two big, strong girls, right? And we've already seen them wrestle. Like this isn't a brand new matchup. But anyways, I thought this match was good, actually. A physical, competitive main event. In my opinion, the best Toni Storm has looked since her return by probably a considerable margin.
I think it's probably thanks to Ripley
Could be.
bunch, but I mean, not that Toni Storm's like as bad as
I think they have a lot of
Shotzi.
history too, right? So they've wrestled each other a bunch, so that helps. I guess Storm can continue to chase Io, and Ripley can continue her feud with Gonzalez, or start her feud if they don't want us to remember that it's already happened. So the result makes sense, and of course, Toni Storm can't win clean, right? This is WWE, so even though
it's illegal to
you're
win
on
clean.
this path, you have to. We couldn't have you win clean, so there was a distraction finish.
It's
obviously.
illegal. It's not allowed.
Overall thoughts on NXT this week, sir?
I think the highlights were obviously Dunn versus O'Reilly and Ciampa versus Tyler Rust. I really liked that one.
Agreed.
Like,
me too.
Pleasant surprise there, and the Xylee and Boa was obviously pretty good, but I think not the highlight just because you had 2 good matches actually this episode.
Yeah.
And I'd probably give it like around the same grade as I would have given Dynamite. So I'd give it like a B as well, maybe above Dynamite. I'm not sure.
Fair. So I thought this was a really good episode of NXT. I thought there were 3 strong matches. Russ Ciampa, Dunn O'Reilly, and I would even put Storm Ripley in that category. So there's 3 good matches. The Lee Boa vignette I really liked. The Loomis stuff I did not like. The Shotzi and Indy Hartwell, I even put it there. I have Shotzi / Blackheart match. God. Their names are too similar. My old brain can't handle this. Their match wasn't great. I like the show. I'm giving it a B+, and contemplated an A- for a second, but I'm going to stick with B+. I thought this was the better Wednesday night show this week and seemed really focused on in-ring action. I thought that most of the matches they gave us this week were pretty fun to watch. So a B+ show.
Nice.
All right. So that ends up our review of the Wednesday Night Wars as they were. So this is now transitioning into our next section, which is any other wrestling business.
Mm-hmm.
And shall I start with Ring of Honor? Do you have things in?
I do have, I have 3.
So can you break up put one in between Ring of Honor and Impact, and then you can have whatever you want.
And then I'll do one before our TLC preview.
Beautiful.
Or so, the 2 I have.
Ring of Honor this week. Quinn welcomes us, as always, with lots of hand gestures, and she reminds us that we are just days away from Final Battle, which I haven't watched, but that happened yesterday, right? So I may check that out at some point.
Did?
Yeah, it was on the 18th, so yesterday. We're days away from Final Battle, and she sets up the matches for tonight. We're going to get Flip Gordon will face Josh Woods in a pure match before Gordon challenges for the pure championship at Final Battle. So I put I wonder who will win this match, right? One guy's got a match against the champion coming up. So
wait, who's Gordon facing against her?
I wonder who will win. Josh Woods.
Oh, right.
And then we're going to get the Bouncers facing Mark Briscoe and PCO in a tag match.
Who are the Bouncers?
Beer City Brawler, and I forget the other guy's name. 2 very, very large men.
Kind of like
carry a beer
Triple
keg
XL.
Down. Yeah, very similar idea.
But except Ring of Honor.
So against Mark Briscoe and PCO in a tag match, and get this, before Briscoe and PCO face Lethal and Gresham for the tag title. So I wonder who's going to win tonight. So there's only 2 matches on this show.
Both of them featuring the title challengers.
Right, so I wonder what we're going to get. But anyways.
I don't know.
We'll see. We then get comments from Mike Bennett and Vincent following their grudge match, quote unquote, from last week, which I didn't love, but anyways. And we get a recap of the brawling between the Kingdom and the Righteous after the match. Bennett sells a knee injury as Quinn talks to him and Taven. Bennett says that everything must come to an end, and he came home to protect his family, and the Kingdom will decide when this ends. Taven talks about it being 1 year after his injury, and they'll take the Righteous out. This was fine, but it was more of a live-looking promo because they've been doing just those like pre-recorded sort of sit-down promos. This was different, and I didn't like it as much as the usual ones. There's a lot of attention paid to this feud, and my interest level does not match the attention they're giving it and the exposure they're giving it, so it's not my favorite thing, to be honest.
Nice.
We then get a sit-down promo from the Bouncers back in the sort of the style they've been doing for weeks and weeks now, which I like. They talk about the length of their careers, 20 years plus each.
Beer City Brawler's missing teeth, right?
Yes. That's funny. You'll see one of my comments when the match starts. They live up to the legacy of Killer Kowalski and Harley Race, who I think were their trainers, one for each of them.
A lot of people were trained by Killer Kowalski,
True.
and like Triple H, I think Ciampa, among many.
So they're changing from fun-loving guys to being more dangerous. This is their character change, I think, since they've come back from hiatus, the whole company, which I think is a good idea. So no more toasting when they lose. They are excited to fight. So this was good because they haven't been treated seriously in the past. So this reset has sort of allowed them to change up their characters. They were always kind of like the lovable losers sort of thing to now like maybe a dominant force depending how things go.
Yeah, it is always a good spot for change. Like when NJPW shut down, I'm sure like that would be a good spot for a lot of character changes if they
Exactly. You can try something.
They wanted to.
Because it would seem sudden if you did it on a week-to-week show, but if it's been gone for months, you can sort of come back with something different,
And in kayfabe,
right?
they could be like thinking, maybe we need something different, right?
Yes.
To like start winning.
And I think the show overall has just decided it's a little more serious tone, right? It's less sports entertainment and more professional wrestling, I guess, is if is the way to say it. So this promo was good, probably a little longer than it needed to be, but I liked it. So then we get Briscoe and PCO get their chance, and Mark speaks. He respects the bouncers, but there's no crowd left for them to drink with, and this is the time to throw the fun out the window and go to battle. PCO says the bouncers will rest in hell. I think that's his catchphrase, like the Undertaker sort of thing.
Because he's like the Canadian Frankenstein, right, or whatever thing.
Cyborg. So this was very short and more of a traditional wrestling promo than what ROH has been doing lately. It was too short to really matter much at all, so it was just kind of there. Then it is, of course, after the promos, we do get the match, which is the Mark Briscoe and PCO versus the Bouncers. One of the stats on screen for the Bouncers, the Beer City Bruiser drank 42 beers during the hotel quarantine week, which is kind of like an amusing little thing like AEW would put on the screen.
I miss when they did that.
Right?
Because hangmans were really funny.
So pointed this out earlier. I have, if you combine the teeth of the Beer City Bruiser and Briscoe, you might get a full set. Because they started out wrestling, I think.
That's funny.
So a very physical start between the Beer City Bruiser and Briscoe. PCO got confused running the ropes at one point, which was a little bit awkward. He looked not super great in this match, unfortunately.
Because wasn't he like on a roll earlier?
Yes, but he's a really old guy, right? So cool apron spots it's Mike Malonis is his name, I think. And then Briscoe in succession. PCO misses a top rope senton and lands on the apron. It looked really painful. PCO and Briscoe win when PCO hits his moonsault while Briscoe stands by to protect, like to sort of guard the pinfall sort of thing. Mm-hmm. This match actually really over-delivered for me. I'm not a huge fan of anyone.
Kind of like the SCU versus Hager and Jericho?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm not a huge fan of anyone in this match. Like, I wouldn't say I love any of them, and the outcome was clear before the match ever began, as I talked about in the opening, but I thought this was fun and entertaining. It was slow at times, and there were a couple of awkward spots in there, but it was a physical slugfest with some impressive spots as well. I like the serious bouncers so far much better than their previous sort of shtick. Again, this over-delivered, I thought, so I was very happy with it.
Good stuff.
Briscoe speaks post-match after the commercials. He and PCO are the two craziest guys in wrestling, and now they've joined forces to take the titles from Lethal and Gresham. PCO again says they'll rest in hell, same as he did before. Short, super standard wrestling promo again. So we learn, I put learn question mark because it's the first I've heard of it, and you don't watch the show to remind me if they talked about this before, so maybe they have, but I don't remember it. So we learn that Tony Deppen versus Dak Draper versus LSG versus Josh Woods.
Why have I heard Dak Draper before?
And that's for a TV title shot later that night on Final Battle. Sorry.
I hate when like at pay-per-views they do like later in the night. Like
I
it's
know.
not like sometimes it's not terrible, but I just like generally think it's kind of like lazy. Or like, oh, we need a challenger, so let's just do it like right then and there.
And I think this is a nice addition to the card because I would watch this match. I've seen all of them wrestle, and they're
how many people are in it?
Kind of interesting. Deppen, Draper, LSG, and Woods. So 4 of them.
Oh, nice.
And then we also learned the Foundation, which will be Titus and Williams, will face Fred Yehai and Yuta. I forget his first name. Ryder? No. Anyways, doesn't matter. In the Final Battle as well. The Yehai and Yuta were in the Pure Tournament, so that
I know Fred Yehai was because I remember you mentioning him a bunch. I don't remember the other guy.
Wheeler, Utah, that's what it was. That might be a fun match as well, so we'll see. We then get a hype package for Final Battle with quick comments from most of the competitors involved. I'm actually somewhat interested in this pay-per-view. For some reason, I haven't seen any results. I avoid spoilers, so I may actually check some of it out at some point. And if it's worth it, I'll mention it on one of our shows.
Nice.
We then get a Flip Gordon package, his MMA background. He's only wrestled since 2015, which I was like, wow, he's only been around 5 years.
I thought he had wrestled longer, honestly.
No, I thought so too. And he wants ROH Gold. He's a natural-born high flyer with jiu-jitsu mixed in. His accomplishments and accolades, etc. He'll beat Woods and solidify that he's more than a high flyer, and this is the motivation, right? And I like that we're getting that.
Just to prove that he can wrestle multiple styles.
He wants to wrestle pure style to prove that he can and that he's more than a high flyer. So that's why I kind of liked it. I learned a lot about his past, as I usually do in these segments, and he seems really comfortable doing this style of promo.
I'm really surprised. I honestly thought he had been wrestling longer.
Me too. So no one's looked awkward or uncomfortable doing this style of promo. So I don't know how they're directing it and telling people to do it, but they're doing a good job. And then obviously, as they do on ROH, Woods has to speak next. He talks about Gordon being really talented, but he does things you shouldn't do in pure matches, and he's going to exploit that, which I think makes sense too. He will not be a stepping stone for Flip's new path. He'll beat Flip and get a pure title shot and become champion. And I thought this was another solid promo. The content is simple and realistic, so the wrestlers sound natural saying it because what they're saying is believable. So it's like the opposite of main roster WWE, right? This is like things people would actually say. Guess what's important? Winning the match. So they're going to talk about that, basically, right?
It's like little realistic and like you said, like someone would say, like it makes sense.
Yes, it's way less entertainment and scripted nonsense. And it's like, hey, if you were going to fight this guy and this was what was at stake, what would you say? And then they sort of do that. So it makes sense.
Nice.
So the main event is Flip Gordon versus Josh Woods in a pure rules match. So Gordon enters wearing a gas...
They've done a lot of those.
Yeah, they've been pretty much one a week almost. Gordon enters wearing a gas mask and like a survival military style vest.
Gas mask gives me vibes of that Dean Ambrose thing.
Which oh yeah. I think this is new for him, but I'm not sure. So
I remember him wearing camo at All In.
Yeah.
When he was with Brandy Rhodes for some reason.
Flip Gordon wins with a moonsault, a front suplex, and a curb stomp, basically in succession.
Curb stomp.
The match was good. It was a clear contrast in styles, despite what Gordon said pre-match about him trying to prove he's not a high flyer. He did a fair amount of high flying in this pure match. My thoughts were I didn't love the use of Woods here because I felt that they could have used somebody...
Because wasn't he on a roll,
yes,
right?
And that's what I'm saying. They could have used someone else to lose decisively in this type of match. And it would strongly...
Because it's like, this is his specialty and like, right?
Yeah,
like...
Because he's been
built... And I'm not even watching it. Just based on what you've been telling me.
That's right. He's been built very well lately. And I thought this was an interesting choice, not maybe a great choice. And then Gordon saying he's more than a high flyer, but then basically doing a whole bunch of high flying, combined with some wrestling holds, but they were like the most basic holds. One of them was like a really long headlock, and another was just a neck vice where you're just twisting his neck. That'd be like me
saying I'm more than a wrestling fan than just watching wrestling pay-per-views all day.
So he didn't, he didn't like demonstrate the mat work and things that I think he was trying to say he would, and he did do a bunch of high flying. So I didn't really like his fit in this division. But anyways, we'll see where they go.
I think he'll just be a credible challenger for Gresham.
The match itself was fun to watch though. So overall, I thought this was another good show that flew by because again, it's less than an hour. The opening tag match was way better than I expected, and the main event was good too. Some of the promos were a notch down from usual, but some of them were really good. So I gave it another B+ this week. I liked the show, and it flies by.
Nice.
All right, what do you want to talk about for a second?
This is just my least interesting one, but I'm gonna save my two for just right before the TLC thing, because one of them does kind of have to do with TLC, so it'll be a little more timely. But just that the Street Profits had a tag title match against Rudolph, which is Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and they were able to retain the tag team championships. I didn't watch this because obviously I don't watch SmackDown. I really haven't enjoyed it in the past year, just with like the dog food storylines and then just some of the other things that they'd done just haven't been great. Like some of Braun Strowman's bits were bad. Anyways, so I didn't watch it, but Street Profits are like a pretty good team, and I like them in NXT, but I feel like a lot of NXT people, they've been kind of dulled down and just like their momentum's kind of halted. I don't know, they're not bad, but it's just like whatever. But yeah, so they retained their titles against a team that didn't make sense, that formed a year ago and still somehow here.
Yeah, Street Profits should be, I don't know, they're really talented, but
they've just been kind of stopped now.
I feel like they just don't know what to do with them, right?
Right, I feel like that's it.
Like there's something that Vince can't relate to at all, so I'm not sure if he knows how to do it. Anyways, they're a very talented bunch.
Now to your favorite wrestling show ever.
All right, Impact Wrestling, it is time. So this show starts off with a detailed recap of last week, especially all of the Omega Callis stuff. A lot of attention paid to another company, almost more than their own company. But that's, I don't know, that probably makes sense. They really glossed over anything done by their own company's wrestlers and really focused on AEW to start. So we get Caleb is in the ring to start the live action, and he introduces Tenille Dashwood, and she is about to face Alicia Edwards. One note I had is that Tenille's Noogie now has a name, and I guess it's a signature move. They were calling it the Dash Woogie, which makes me cringe even to basically say out loud, but that is, I guess, what the move is called now. Years later, this isn't nice, but it's years later, and Alicia still looks like she started wrestling a month ago to me. Very little of her offense looks at all effective, so I'm not sure. She gets tons of TV time. She gets tons of matches. She gets tons of attention. And I don't know if it's just because she's married to Eddie Edwards and he's a big part of the show, but she did not look particularly good here. Alicia takes the pin after a spotlight kick as she enters the ring after very awkwardly hitting Caleb with a leap out to the floor from the top rope. Sami Callihan comes onto the screen and suggests that he and Eddie end this once and for all. Yes, I agree. Please do. He tells Eddie to enjoy the holidays because it might be his last. He's going to murder him, I guess.
Yeah, and then he'll win his freedom in a singles match against Tommy Dreamer.
Maybe.
Also, I'm surprised she didn't win with the Dash Woogie.
She did not. The Dash Woogie is just a signature, not a finisher yet.
Okay.
The
so
Noogie
did she at least do it before the spotlight kick?
Yes.
Okay,
maybe
good.
not right before. I don't remember.
At least she hit it.
This was not good. The chemistry was not great. Who gets more TV time with less ability than Alicia? I don't know who. Tenille has done nothing significant since arriving, and I was kind of looking forward to her coming. She hasn't really impressed me in ring compared to many.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you kind of liked her when she was in NXT, right? Like she just was kind of interesting.
But she's not doing much for me here. I have no interest in Eddie Sammy, as I've said before. I won't beat that drum again.
Because they had a really cool thing when it just happened kind of with the accidental baseball bat hit, and then now it's just like they're trying to strike rich on something that worked a couple years ago, but I don't think they could really recapture it again.
And both of those guys have a little bit of name recognition, quote unquote star power, so I'm sure they want to keep them visible on their show and stuff, but I mean they're just going back to the well here, and I just don't care, frankly.
Right.
We get a quick shot reminder that the bus is here, the luxury bus with Omega and Callis.
The Lex Express.
Yes.
Psych.
The Motor City Machine Guns have dealt with Triple XL and the North, and now all that's left is the Good Brothers. They have a rematch clause, and tonight Sabin will wrestle Carl Anderson. This was a fine basic.
It's going to be a singles match for the tag titles.
A fine basic promo. I thought Shelley sounded better than Sabin. Sabin sounded a bit awkward, and Shelley sounded fine.
I'm surprised there wasn't a bunch of people tuning into this, because Alex Shelley got a mention on NXT. Well, actually, this was before NXT. Never mind.
That's right.
But he did get a big mention on NXT.
That's right. Omega and Callis, what is it? Oh, he's reacting to the Motor City Machine Gun comments, and he sends Anderson in to get them, basically. Anderson runs into Swan backstage while looking for Sabin, and Swan suggests that Anderson is just taking orders from Omega, and I think that's kind of where we're going with this, right, is that he does seem to be sort of doing what Omega's telling him. It's not, the interactions with Omega and Anderson haven't been totally friendly like buddy-buddy. It's more like, I'm the superstar and you're a lesser star, so go and do this. Sabin walks up and he and Anderson will settle it tonight in the main event. Moose has asked for time and makes his way to the ring in a suit carrying his belt. Willie Mack is out for a couple weeks because Moose hurt him, because that's what he does. He hasn't even gotten mad yet, but he's getting mad because people keep talking about Rich Swann.
Oh yeah, I actually did see this segment.
I like Moose's promos right now.
It was okay.
Moose respects him, but Swann stays hurt while Moose hurts people. He tells him to call Willie Mack to ask him what pain feels like.
Because Swann wouldn't know because he's never wrestled before.
Willie Mack walks out and is stopped by security. He says he's not mad about losing or getting hurt. He's mad that the ref stopped the match, which I kind of like too, right? He doesn't care if he's getting beaten. He just doesn't want it to be stopped on someone else's terms, right? If you're going to beat him, that's fine, but it can't be a ref stoppage. So he wants an I Quit match against Moose at Genesis. Mac goes after Moose and security separate them, but rip Moose's suit in the process, so Moose kills one of the security guards. So is he gonna go into court and then win his freedom in a match against Tommy Dreamer?
Maybe.
We'll see. It could go that way. I thought Moose was good here, and Willie is always somewhat awkward on the mic, but I didn't think he was too bad. This is sort of a holding pattern feud, I guess, until Moose gets involved in the main event picture. I can't imagine there's any chance Mac would win this rematch. It's probably just another opportunity for Moose to demonstrate his dominance and aggression and newfound attitude, which is fine. It feels like now that Omega's involved in the main event picture, they're just sort of waiting with Moose, which might be a good idea. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'd love to see Omega holding 2 belts.
Yes, of course.
And then start wearing the Mega belt, and then he's got 3 belts.
Yep.
Also, I researched it. I searched AAA World Title, and the Mega title came up. So.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. So I guess it is the world title. I don't know.
Interesting.
I figured it was. So.
Moose is now interviewed backstage and refers to Mac and others as independent wrestlers, and says that if anyone else puts their hands on him, they're going to get hurt. Then we have Bay speaking to Rohit. He congratulates Rohit on losing his belt. Rohit says that he's not the only one that lost, and at least he gets a rematch. Bay suggests that if he can prove that Manik is TJP, ROH will be given the title back. Rohit agrees and thinks that that's a good idea. Bay invites Rohit to go with Bay as he's about to wrestle Manik, so Rohit agrees. It makes sense that sort of, because Bay's the finesser, right? So he's just sort of finessed his way into having backup at ringside as he's going to take on Manik, I guess, is what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's the plan here. He's trying to
also,
say, like...
on an unrelated note, I think Omega's been Mega Champ the whole year, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he won it last year.
Could be. Then we get Tony and Tony are back with another paid advertisement.
Tony and Tony.
That's Khan and Shivani, obviously. Khan puts over Omega, but he doesn't like how he won the title. Which I
think he said already.
Yes, Callis has taught him nothing. Khan got his highest rated show ever, and he has the best champion. He invites Callis back to Dynamite to learn his lessons from Khan. Shivani rips Access TV. He says he can't even find it on his cable, and then runs down the card for Dynamite. I find these segments somewhat entertaining, and my favorite part is Tony's hatred of Impact Wrestling. He's taken a few shots at Impact now.
Kind of like Jerry Lawler to ECW, dare I say?
Which I kind of find the most entertaining of this, to be honest, is more Tony Schiavone. Because he's known as the really nice, kind of just enjoys wrestling and is just in loving everything lately, right? And he's just like, nope, your promotion is brutal.
You suck.
I kind of find that funny. We then get Eric Young. He talks about losing his mother to disease recently and that the sickness cannot be scared away. It has to be destroyed, and that's... when he saw his true purpose. He's going to baptize Cody Deaner in the holy water of change.
What?
The camera pulls back, and Deaner is handcuffed to the table with Young there as the camera pulls back to show that he's handcuffed to the table. Interesting. I thought this...
I'm very confused.
There's more of it coming on the show. And I actually really enjoyed it.
I would hope so. I'm very confused.
It is confusing. So he's got Deaner, and it looks like Deaner's in for a bit of a character change here. So then we have Chris Bay with Rohit.
Oh, you know what I just realized?
What?
It's like the Lake of Reincarnation.
Could be. Same thing.
Yes.
Chris Bay with Rohit versus Manik in a non-title match. Matthew says that this episode of Impact feels more like an episode of Scooby-Doo, and I was like, way to put the show over, Josh. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but I don't think it's complimentary, right?
I don't think so either.
No. But anyways, that's your lead commentator.
That's funny.
Bay wins this match by DQ as Rohit attacks him after they disagree in the ring about when to try and remove Manik's mask.
Really? That's what they disagree over?
Yeah, this was really nothing, and I was kind of disappointed because it could have been a good match if they'd given it a chance, right?
That just sounds stupid.
Because TJP versus Chris Bay, that's a pretty interesting match, but they did nothing with it here. How
do you know it's TJP? It's Manik. Right. It looks nothing like TJP.
For sure. I don't think that Bay should be moving back to the ranks of the X Division. The main event is kind of crowded right now, so I think he needs something to do. I just don't know what it should be at this point, because they're clearly not ready to pull the trigger on him in the main event, and I don't want it to be now if it means he's going to get killed by Omega. I want him to be a strong champion, so
especially if Omega's heel. If Omega's face, it'd be a little different, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we get the flashback moment. I only mention it again this week. I usually don't, because it was Sting's return to TNA, and I thought that was kind of a smart, timely choice by them, right? To show when he returned to their company as well.
Yeah, because they are in cahoots with AEW, so it does work.
Made sense. We back in the bus, and Anderson leaves again to go wrestle.
Do you know what year that was? Year it's from?
No. Omega is annoyed with the attention Swan is getting. A very short segment to further the idea of Swan Omega, I think.
That would be sick.
Because in Omega's mind, the lesser champion is getting too much attention, right?
I would agree as well.
We get the second round, which I believe is the semifinals as well, of the Knockouts Tag Team Tournament. And it's Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz versus Taya and Rosemary. So this one, the heels dominate and isolate Rosemary after a back-and-forth start. A Taya hot tag with some impressive moves involved. Purrazzo comes out and gives a flatliner to Rosemary on the stage. This distracts Taya, and Kiera hits her spinning fisherman's neckbreaker, ? I didn't know what else to call it, on Taya for the win. And actually, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was...
Hogan and Steelz advancing again?
Yes.
Nice.
This was a lot of back and forth action with a quick pace, tons of attitude, and some nice classic heel tactics by Steelz and Hogan. They would be an awesome choice for champions, and I'll be honestly disappointed if they go anywhere else, because these two with the belts, I think
Would just
they would
be like
look awesome. They would just be
such... like obnoxious and like cool, I guess.
Yeah, they would be amazing.
It'd be like Alexa Bliss, I don't know, almost, but like a tag team.
It's like 2 of Sasha Banks when Sasha is like super mega heel, overconfident, right? That's what these, and they do it.
Oh yeah, that's a nice comparison.
I think they do a really good job of it, and I won't understand if they put the titles on anyone but these two, and then let some nice babyface tag team chase them, right? And you've got a nice little feud
I think
going
they'd need to build one, but
so this team, they're one of my favorite things on the show. I talk about it every week. Steels and Hogan, they're awesome, and it was a good match. Then we get more of Eric Young lecturing Cody Deaner, who's still handcuffed to the table. Wrestling,
like the table leg, or
no, like it's an actual like interrogation table at a police station where they actually have a space on the tabletop, like a little metal loop to hook his handcuffs to. So wrestling is sick and has a disease. Deaner has given wrestling everything and has been waiting for it to give back. Young says the sickness cannot give, it can only take from you. Deaner begins to agree, and Joe Doring randomly slides a cell door open as we fade to black. And I have to admit, I like this. It's a little bit cheesy, but not too much, and possibly beginning of something interesting, because Eric Young is such a strong performer, right? Like, if a lesser performer does this, I'm like, oh my god, this is so stupid and cheesy. But he's so good at it, like, he's bought in, so I'm open to this, actually, and it actually gets better during the show. So Tasha and Kiera, celebrate backstage. They're heading to the top. Then Kiera asks Tasha where the money went, and Tasha doesn't know. Remember this money that was all of a sudden missing from her fanny pack, the gold fanny pack? It was in there, then it wasn't, and we're still talking about this stupid roll of money. Swinger enters and does his thing where he's sort of inappropriate and kind of slimy to these girls. So Steels and Hogan leave. Swinger grabs the gold fanny pack and finds the roll of money in a secret compartment in Tasha Steele's fanny pack. So I don't like this. Let this money thing die. And are they now teasing the breakup of Steels and Hogan? Because Steels is hiding the money from even Hogan now, which I do not like, because these two belong together, in my opinion.
And it's like, is the money really that important? Because you get a wrestling paycheck now.
Yes. I will be very annoyed if they break these two up. Unless somebody's leaving the company and they have no choice, then that's the only time I understand it. But this whole roll of money has been going on for, it feels like, months now, and I haven't cared at all ever, and I don't
think it would matter if Fallah Boss steals it, because it's like, it's Fallah Boss, but...
He had it for a while.
No, it's just like...
I know.
Spend the money.
So I don't like them being involved in this, but we'll see where it goes, I guess. Then we get Josh Alexander versus Brian Myers, or as my notes say, Brain Myers.
Why would it correct Brian? Brian's like a normally
Brain.
They always correct Loomis, like Dexter Loomis, to Lumia, I can't, like, it's so annoying.
I don't know if what some of the things it suggests for me are interesting.
And it's like it auto corrects it every time I press space, so then I have to like go back and change it.
Myers does some nice heel work to start to avoid Alexander here, doing the like heading to the corners and the ropes and things. Page comes out to support, and he gets run into the ring post by Myers almost immediately. Myers controls the first part of this match. Page returns as Karate Man.
Yes.
So this is now apparently his alter ego, which
I was wondering when you would watch this.
Josh keeps telling us like we know this, so this was annoying to me. They've mentioned that he knows karate before, but never have, at least that I've seen, this idea that he has an alter ego that is Karate Man. So Page uses karate to take out Myers and gets Alexander DQ'd. Alexander yells and shakes his finger at Page before leaving, and Page is left standing posing karate pose in the ring. I don't honestly know what to think of this, to be honest with you. I guess I'll give it time to see where it goes, because maybe it's funny or interesting. But they just sort of sprung it on us, and we're acting like we should kind of know, which I thought was strange, because I watch the show and review the show and take notes on the show every week. And I haven't seen anything about this alter ego, or maybe it's been leading up to it and I've missed something. But so it's just furthering the dissension between the North, and I guess we'll see where it goes. And that this is what Page is doing before he leaves. It's kind of an interesting choice.
It's kind of like Dean Ambrose when he was like facing off Nia Jax before he left, remember?
Yes. Oh yeah, that was a great career move for him too.
Yeah.
Then we're back to Eric Young and Cody Deaner, and Eric Young is offering the truth. Deaner seems to be on board now, and Young talks about they were laughing at you and not with you, and that you can see that now. He is now in his purest form and is awakened, and things are clear. He is free, and the world belongs to us. And for some reason, maybe similar to the Xia Li stuff, I'm on board for this. It's weird. It's dark. I love the idea of repackaging Cody Deaner. And EY is engaging in this character, especially when I compare it to EC3, because I think EC3 was trying to do something similar to this, and it irritated me greatly. As fans of our podcast or listeners of our podcast know, I don't mind EC3, but the stuff he was doing was really not good. This I really liked in contrast, and I look forward to more of this, and I look forward to a repackaged Cody Deaner, because he's been the same sort of redneck beer drinking character this entire time. So let's repackage the man. I actually recommend checking it out if you haven't, Jack. You could look at some clips of it.
Think about it.
I thought they were cool. Tommy Dreamer is backstage with AC Romero, and Larry is in jail now. AC says Larry has been set up, and Dreamer challenges him to prove it. We follow Dreamer as he walks to Rhino and Cousin Jake, who are talking about Young and Doring taking out their partner. So it looks like maybe a teammate for him here. Dreamer tells them to do something and end EY and Doring before this gets worse. So a tag match is in the future. I think it's a good idea for Eric Young and Doring to start out, because they can beat these guys, right? They can get a strong win to sort of build up whatever this faction is they're building now with, it looks like Deaner in tow. So it looks like maybe Doring and Deaner could be a tag team.
Maybe they'll get Cousin Jake as well.
Could be in the end. We'll see. So I'm somewhat interested to see where that goes. Then we get our main event, which, as advertised, is Carl Anderson, the Machine Gun, versus Chris Sabin. The main event goes split screen with Omega and Callis sitting on a bus. So there you go. You have your main event of your show.
It's so important.
Right, of your show, and you split screen with guys just sitting on a bus from another show. Like, honestly, they weren't doing anything, just sitting there.
Omega from another show, and then
Callis from your show, I guess, yeah. So the story of this was that they were evenly matched, with each struggling to sort of get control of the other. Anderson eventually wins with a schoolboy roll-up, and he has to pull the tights as Callis and Omega celebrate in the bus. Swan questions Anderson as he leaves, and Anderson hits Swan. The Motor City Machine Guns, Gallows, and Omega wipe out the faces and show Swan the real championship belt, and we're getting a 6-man tag at Hard to Kill.
I'd honestly watch that.
Yeah, I would too. This was a fast, competitive match and a pretty good TV main event, especially for Impact. Anderson could be a single star in Impact if he can lose. This isn't nice. Are you ready? I forgot I wrote this. He could be a single star in Impact if he can lose the 300 pounds of dead weight he usually brings with him. Sorry, Gallows. That's not nice. Overall, I enjoyed this episode of Impact. In fact, I'm pretty sure I enjoyed it considerably more than Final Resolution, and this was just their weekly show. The women's tag team match and the main event were good. The Alexander Myers match had potential, and I really enjoyed the Eric Young segments, and the AEW involvement continues to just be a little bit interesting, right? The show went by really quickly, and by Impact standards, I would say this show is a solid B. Hopefully they can pick up some new viewers from the AEW attention. I don't know if it was that good of a show. Depends what people are looking for, right? You're not going to get the type of wrestling that you're getting on AEW. They just don't do that on Impact. Like, as I look at reviews and things of the show, their matches are always like 7-8 minutes, and that's just what you're going to get. Rarely does it go through a commercial break or anything. So it's a different style of show. I don't know, maybe they'll pick up some viewership. I thought this week was enjoyable. It wasn't a chore. I got through it pretty easily, so it was a B.
Nice.
Nice. Do you have something to put in there before we get to TLC?
Yes. So Jackson Riker debuts on Raw alongside Elias.
Right.
This did occur on main event as well, but this is like his Raw debut. R-Truth interrupts 24/7 Brawl and Twos, but it's clearly just a thing to make Riker look dominant before a debut match.
He does have a super impressive look, right? So that's why he keeps sticking around.
I'm questioning the decision to bring him back already.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled to see him at all, to be honest.
Because I don't think he wasn't bad, but he wasn't like super talented, and also based on the things he was saying.
He's not great in ring, but he can be like a dominant big man or henchman for somebody for sure.
For Elias, I guess.
Yeah, he could be.
Yep, and then my other thing is Lana is taken out by Baszler and Jack, so Asuka has to find a partner for TLC for the tag title match, and it's going to be a mystery partner.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering if it's going to be either Eva Marie or Melina, because those were rumors going around that they were going to return.
The idea of Eva Marie wrestling is funny to me.
Yes, it's very scary.
But you never know.
It's both interesting and scary to me.
It is. It is. She has something though, man. She's got like when she's on the screen, I pay attention. She's got some sort of charisma or something. She's gonna do something
stupid.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyways.
She has no wrestling skill, or I don't even know what her character is, other than a model who can't wrestle.
Is that all your?
Yes.
Any other wrestling business? All right. Yeah. So the last thing I have is the talk about TLC. So preview and predictions, as that is happening tomorrow night.
P&P.
Which we will watch it if it.
Unfortunately.
If it motivates us to a bonus episode, maybe highly unlikely. I would say it's unlikely.
I'm gonna say that now. Yeah. You're like, since it's winter break, we get to watch it all. I'm like, or like we can stay up late. I'm like, yay! I get to watch the whole thing.
Yeah. So New Day versus Hurt Business for the Raw Tag Championships. What are you saying?
I'm just because I don't really care. I'm gonna pick Hurt Business.
I am as well because I think it's time. They need some gold.
Yeah, and I think New Day is just like, and it'd be cool. Then Lashley's still U.S. champion. Also, New Day doesn't need tag belts.
I agree.
They're good enough.
So we agree on that one. Jax and Baszler versus Asuka, and I have to be determined. Is that still the case?
Yes.
For the women's tag championships. Thoughts?
It really does depend on who Asuka picks, but I'm just gonna go Jax and Baszler because I love Baszler.
I am also. This is going to be boring because I'm going to take them as well.
Yeah, I just love Baszler, so
I just don't know if Asuka needs a tag belt, and also the fact that she's bringing in a mystery partner.
I don't trust them, and if it's Eva Marie, I will stop watching the pay-per-view. Wow. Right there, we will switch. We will continue our Office
marathon. Got to get it done before it's off Netflix, folks.
I won't even finish the pay-per-view ever. If Eva Marie is on that pay-per-view, mark my words, I will never watch that pay-per-view ever.
Fair enough.
If that happens.
The Fiend versus Randy Orton.
Firefly Inferno match.
Whatever.
Fiend. Duh. Okay. Not even just because I like him, but because like this is a Firefly Inferno match, so it's gonna be like his match type, and it's gonna be like one of those things where he changes Randy Orton or something.
This is boring because I agree, and I'm taking the Fiend as well. So for no
and Randy
differences.
Orton doesn't need a win.
How am I gonna taunt you and mock you and rub in beating you if we pick all the same matches?
I don't think that's necessary. I don't think it does. It's a main roster pay-per-view. It doesn't matter that much.
True, and you won the last one anyway.
Yeah, and if it's a pay-per-view that actually mattered, then I would care if I win, but I don't care.
Sasha Banks versus Carmella.
Sasha Banks. It's not even a question.
I agree. I don't even think we need to talk about that very much. If Carmella wins the belt,
if anyone has not seen Carmella's recent choice of ring attire, please go look at it. It is terrible.
I'll take your word for it because
I'll show you after this. It is terrible.
I look forward to it. Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles.
See, this one's kind of interesting to me.
The WWE Championship.
I don't know, because Drew McIntyre has already had a pretty good run. I'm going to take AJ Styles. What the hell?
All right. I was torn as well, so just for the sake of us not having exactly the same picks.
Now, this is going to make you win.
Good.
I don't really care, though.
That's what I deserve. I'm a lovely man.
I don't care. No.
Drew McIntyre. I'm writing it down.
I don't even care if I win because this pay-per-view is probably going to be
just
bad.
For fun.
I know. But I just feel like AJ Styles winning would just make him more interesting. I think it'd just be, even though I'm not going to watch, it'd just be more interesting.
Yeah, it's just, are they done with Drew? Like, is that?
I think he's had a good year. I think the second run was probably just to get that match with Roman, probably. Could be. But we'll see.
All right, main event. I don't think we're going to disagree here either. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens.
Oh.
Tough one, right?
I'm going to pick Jey Uso.
Love me some KO, don't get me wrong.
Roman Reigns. Yeah. Kevin Owens just really feels out of place here to me. I would have liked Daniel Bryan, not going to lie.
Now, I've heard that Kevin Owens has been doing a good job like on the mic and promos and whatnot leading up to this, which I'm sure he has because he's awesome, but I haven't seen it.
I heard he was supposed to be take Kofi's place in the Mania spot, and that I don't think Mustafa Ali was actually in the plans for it. Yeah. And then or he might have been, and then I think Kevin Owens was the replacement for Ali, and then they saw Kofi getting popularity, so then they went with that.
So yeah, just as I'm looking at the card here, I'm not super excited about this.
And again, I don't care if I win or not.
But it doesn't look like it'll be super, although TLC matches will be long. I was going to say, there's not a ton of matches on the card.
There's only 2 TLC matches? I'm surprised.
Yeah,
usually they'd have like 5.
They will be lengthy.
There's no tables matches? Is there not a chairs match?
Nope.
No!
What are you gonna
I wanted a chairs match.
The only other thing I had in any other wrestling business was that I did watch Omega Laredo Kid last night from Triple A Mania because I'd heard good things. It was a very good match. If you can find it very easily, I think it was just on YouTube where I saw it. A good match, long match, but very competitive. Lots of cool stuff going on. Very good match for sure.
Nice.
So people could check that out.
Nice.
Do you have any other wrestling business? That's
no.
it, right? All right, so that will bring us into our final segment every week, and that is where Jack takes a few minutes to talk about the world of wrestling action figures. And here it is. It's Figuring It Out with Jack.
Okay, we got something quite interesting here, but first, the boringness. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse ringside exclusive, which is, it's like an okay figure. It looks weird, because it's like his sweater looks tucked into his pants, whatever. But you get the puppets and stuff, and a Firefly Funhouse backdrop, so that's cool. Anyways, it's back on order until late February, so if you wanted that, you gotta wait a couple months, so haha.
Nice.
And then AEW Rival 2 is finally on back order. It's been on back order for a while, but I mean, like, the figures aren't sold out, like, they're actually available there. But
cool.
Jon Moxley's already sold out, so.
Of course.
That's nice. But I heard that figure's, like, way too tall, so I don't really care. I'll keep my Dean Ambrose.
Proportions are bad, huh?
Yeah.
Cool.
But for the most part, they've been fine, but
yep.
whatever. And then we got AEW Unrivaled Series 3 is officially revealed, and it's available for pre-order.
Nice.
This series is looking pretty good for the most part. We got Pac, which I am excited for, except for the fact that his face scan is hot garbage.
That was another one I was... you
do get the one head scan with his hair down, so that's cool. And you get the first ever AEW steel chair.
Nice.
So it's just a plain black one, but I mean, like, first one made by Jazzwares or whatever. Then we get Riho. Yay. And I laughed so hard when I saw the belt, because you know the AEW women's stuff is so small, but the figure version, it is so small that they can't even get, like, a clear AEW logo on it. That's, like, they can hardly get any details on it.
Yes,
like,
we joke about it being a bracelet, basically.
Yeah,
it is a tiny
belt. This is probably a bracelet. Like, it is so small. There's no, like, detailing on it. Like, the AEW, you can tell where it is, but, like, it's not like I show you, right? It's not a clear AEW.
Right.
And then there's no women's world champion or whatever. Like, it's so small. And
it is a tiny
Rio's head
belt.
scan looks really weird. It's like some weird smiling thing.
I'm hearing a lot of good reports on the scans on these faces.
Yeah, it looks really weird. And then a pretty good scan, actually. Darby Allin. And you already know he's got the skateboard.
Is he the Chase?
Yes, he does have a Chase with the champ.
I heard that
paint.
somewhere else.
Yes,
look at me knowing stuff about stuff.
Yeah. And then his looks really good. It's got that weird jean shorts and then the tights, but whatever. That is what he looks like. So.
Yep, it's true. He wears that.
And then we got the Young Bucks already again.
Yeah.
They got like a blue, white, and gold attire with the actual tassels this time.
Lots of tassels.
Nick Jackson's head scan, it looks good. Like, it's not as good as his first one in my opinion, but it still looks good.
Right.
Matt Jackson's looks really weird. He's seen better days.
I have heard that it's not great.
If you want to see this, go check it out for yourself, and you'll instantly regret it. And then, perhaps, my favorite of the set, sorry, Darby Allin, but I'm not sure, but Orange Cassidy. He's looking pretty good,
yep.
I'm not going to lie. The scan's, like, pretty nice.
Is it
they
sold out?
They nailed the body type. Not yet, actually.
Surprising.
And it actually does have pockets in the top of his pants. Like a jean rip on the knee, and then
we joked about it, but they kind of had to do that. You know what I mean?
They actually did, and he's even got like the thumbs up hand and like
nice.
Hands that you can fit in the pockets. So they really nailed it here.
Cool.
That one looks really nice, and then the Riho is the other Chase variant. It does have a muted face on that scan, which I honestly think is much better than the normal Riho, but whatever. I'm not gonna get either one, so
fair.
But pretty good set overall. Like, the lineup looks like pretty good for the most part, but the scans just didn't deliver too much.
Right.
I'm really disappointed in the Pac because I missed out on that one Neville Elite that looks like Pac, right?
Yes. And
so this was like going to be my chance to get a heel Pac so I could finally start using him like that. And I probably will still get it. I'm definitely going to because it's Pac. How can I not? But
exactly.
I just wish it would have looked better, honestly.
Fair.
But the Darby Allin is really good. There's no way I'm not going to get that.
Nice.
These are coming out early February, so I'll probably want these like at my birthday. Probably.
You can never find them in Canada, so it's always
we still don't have Series
them.
1, and the only one I'd need to get from that series is Brandy Rhodes. Yippee.
Right.
But anyways, that like it. On paper, like they would say about a match, it sounds good.
Yep.
Some of the scans disappointed, but it's pretty good.
Great
still.
in theory, not so great in execution.
Yeah. But I still want Pac because it's Pac.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Good. That wraps it up.
Yes.
All right, folks, that brings us to the end of episode 22. If you've made it this far, thank you very much, as always, for taking some time out of your week to spend with us.
What's our run time right now?
We are at 2 hours, 42 minutes.
That's not terrible, considering once we went, longer than
And I'm going to try and insert some sound effects and drops and music and stuff, so it'll add a little bit to it. Nice. We'll see if people like it. Just a little more professional.
And stay tuned for upcoming Christmas special, probably December to December.
Absolutely.
And then our year-end awards coming soon, best of, worst of. And so that's coming up.
So we hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday, and I guess it'll be just after Christmas, right? It'll be Boxing
and my
Day.
figuring it out will probably be, if there's news, I'll cover that, and then whatever I score
for Christmas.
Yes.
Nice.
And then we'll definitely be reviewing our usual stuff. We'll cover all the TV specials that are coming up. We got 4 in total. We got Holiday Bash, we got New Year's Smash Night 1, New Year's Smash Night 2, and New Year's Evil from NXT. So those will all be covered, along with probably your usual Impact Ring of Honor, just all the stuff, and then our special episodes.
Yep, so stay tuned. There should be lots of content coming out from us. Again, thanks as always for listening to us, and enjoy the holidays. Stay safe, have fun, and we will see you here next week. Take care.
See ya.